start, ma'am? Good afternoon, all. On behalf of CBSC, I welcome you all to the series of webinars being hosted and conducted on various domains of SQAA framework. The topic for today's webinar is pedagogy. To start with, I request Shrimati Shweta Singh, Joint Secretary CBSC, to address the gathering and deliver welcome address. Shweta ma'am, please.
Thank you, Abhishek ji. Sabhi ko namaskar, good afternoon, and a very warm welcome to all those who are joining, the resource person as well as the participants. So, this series of webinar is on school quality assessment and assurance framework. I'm sure a lot of people who are joining today are aware about this document, are aware about the various domains. However, I'm sure that we have a lot to learn also in the course of these webinars. So today is the fourth such webinar in this series, and today you will be delving more on the domain of curriculum, pedagogy, and assessment, specifically the pedagogy. So we are joined by very seasoned resource persons. We have Ms. Kalpana Kapoor here with us. We also have Rita ji here with us. Both of them are supported by Deepa Dogra ma'am. So our resource persons, I don't think I can say too much about them. I think a lot is already known by all those who are joining. They have decades of experience of leading schools, of adopting innovative practices in classrooms. Of course, as subject experts, they have contributed to various CBSE programs, and they have been key people who have helped us to develop this document. So welcome, Kalpana ma'am and Rita ma'am. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Shweta and team CBSE, and a very warm welcome to all the participants. And a big thank you to Shanti ma'am, who's here with us, and Rita ma'am, Deepa ma'am, who are there as a big support mechanism and helping us behind the scenes too. So thank you so much, everyone. It's again a pleasure to be with all of you. And also very interesting to see the, okay, you're seeing the thank you slide, sorry. Yeah, and interesting to see the kind of observations that are coming up in the, the chat boxes in the YouTube channel also. So I think what I would like to begin with is to address some of the issues, housekeeping issues, I would say, so that we don't end up probably repeating. And you could ask something more meaningful there if that is already addressed. One was that a lot of people are very eager to know about the resources that could be available, handouts that could be available, and materials that could be available. So SQAA and its processes encourage you to share, learn, and collaborate in your regions with schools around you. Samples would be there. CBSE is in the process of developing self-paced learning material, and a lot of resources will be added there from all of you who will be sharing those resources. So they'll get put up in that. So don't worry. And in case specific handholding is required, because these sessions are only awareness generation. Meaning, if you're doing something and you feel that, yes, we are already into it, yes, then let's celebrate. And if you feel that there's a gap anywhere and you need to build up, and then you request CBSE to organize programs for you, learn from the Sahodyas, from the hubs of learning, from people around you. I think this is the time we will definitely need to learn from each other, as we keep saying in every session. Second one was that they wanted our pace to be a little slow. We'll try. So we also get bogged down by the syllabus completion, no? So we'll also try to walk the walk and keep our pace a little slow. Another input was about content not being visible. So at times, I think technical issues where in terms of resolutions, etc., there could be issues there. Another specific question was on what kind of documents to be reviewed. So, what we are trying to do is in every session, when we are talking about things, we are also correlating it to that if you're following this practice, what could be the possible document that you have. So kindly look at it not separately, but also in terms of correlating it to it. Like yesterday, Rita ma'am also kept correlating to your ACPP and to your lesson plans, etc., etc. So those would happen simultaneously. And one more was on how do we integrate music and dance, etc. We'll try to answer those. We did have a few examples earlier on. And as I said, this 2 hours is actually not enough. It's only an awareness generation. And as Dr. Shweta very rightly said, miles to go. Miles to go. So I do request people to share, learn, and collaborate. And once again, a very warm welcome. Today's is the fourth uh, session on curriculum, pedagogy, and assessment, with a special focus on pedagogy today. So we'll quickly recap what we've done in the last few sessions and try and connect the dots with what we've been doing. And then how do we empower ourselves to reach those particular standards? And then we come to what the standard says, although we'll integrate it in between. And what are the CBSE initiatives and CBSE resources that will help us to become better in our classroom practices? And of course, you already have the CBSE website and the helpline for SQAA that you can write to. So, once again, help you to develop a better understanding and a correlation between all the three curriculum, pedagogy, and assessment through shared learning and through team learnings. And try and apply these standards in your school and evaluate their impact on student outcomes. And provide feedback and feed forward on taking the movement of quality consciousness forward and support CBSE. Share resources if you have something on integration of music and dance. You have some lesson plans that are very interesting that build critical and creative thinking skills. Please do start sharing them. We are in the process of building up a repository. A quick recap on the anatomy, the 7 domains that all of you already know. The anatomy, which talks about the domains, subdomains, standards, rubrics, performance levels, and supporting documents. The 48 subdomains and 84 standards. Interestingly, you'll find here that there are 26 standards in domain 1. The overview that Rita ma'am took you through yesterday, because curriculum is not in isolation. And curriculum is not syllabus that Rita ma'am took up yesterday. So a curriculum and a learning environment and practices of assessment and pedagogical practices which are inclusive, innovative, defined, student-friendly systems and teachers being updated on how do children learn, what are the different approaches of learning, what kind of environment brings out a positivity, what is the student teacher interactions, how do you integrate arts, value, life skills, etc., use of interdisciplinary approaches, informal assessments being integrated into your pedagogical practices, where are the children on their growth or their progress or their developmental continuum, and how are we making it all inclusive so that all children are involved, and build a culture of innovation. So, how do you know that you have a strong curricular, pedagogical, and assessment policy in place if you are able to look at these highlighted phrases and words? Yes, so this is again something that you're familiar with. We've done it yesterday also. And if I want you to concentrate on the highlighted skills, so when we say that the curriculum builds skills that Rita ma'am had taken up yesterday for lifelong learning, fostering global citizenship, and teachers are empowered to use those, the curriculum as a learner outcome, and this is reflected in their approaches in the classroom. And the NCRT outcomes form the basis of all learning. So it's a request to all of you to go through the the learner outcomes because it tells you the cognitive skills, it talks about the 21st century skills. So that should really help. Your student enrichment programs 1.3 also talks about skill building through art education. So, art education is appreciation of our Indian art forms, but it also builds various skills. Our skill education program and entrepreneurial employability program is also very strong. The skills that we have in our schools, literary, creative, critical, scientific, communication, etc., that are reflected in your classroom, in your school calendar, also build up skills. And if you have a life skills development program that builds on the 21st century skills. So I think if you keep this as a base and you'll make sure that you don't miss out, but go in a phased way. You don't have to do everything today. Look at it, where are you? And also which is the prioritized area you want to focus on. So there is health and PE also that you all are doing. Values and ethos, value education that you have. Knowledge of India and Ek Bharat, Shresht Bharat is only one example. You can take multiple examples within your classroom. And how do you assess children for learning? How are they progressing on their continuum is also one of the pedagogical strategies of assessing children where they are. Formal assessments are also there, where you have your CBSE or your NAS or your SAFL and so forth. But informally, also, you're addressing children's needs and helping them to grow on their developmental continuum. The NCF for foundational stage, a beautiful document that gives you an overall picture. Somebody had asked about anecdotal records. There's a beautiful template for that, and the tools and techniques. I had shared it in the previous session also, that do have a look at the NCF documents. So that is how we prepare ourselves based on the standards that you saw. Now, the standard of today's is 1.2.3. Teachers are empowered to adopt varied teaching learning approaches, reflecting their understanding of the needs of the diverse students and create a conducive environment for joyful learning. So, we are talking about these some of these keywords here. So, maybe you can quickly put into the chat box also that when we say teachers are empowered, what does it mean? Do we mean teachers are empowered to do what they want? Or does it mean that the teachers are empowered to take a decision that this is a chapter in English, I want to take it in a different way? If this is a chapter in mathematics, I would like to take them outside in the sports field and do it there. If it's a chapter in sound, I would take them into the music room and do it there. If I want to take up circulatory system, can I do it through a Kathak performance? Why not? Why not? So the teachers are empowered. They know what the different strategies are. They know what the varied teaching, learning approaches are. All our B.Ed pandas are going to come into use here. Your behaviorist theories, your constructivist theories, your humanistic theories, all your different Piaget's theories, and all I want to come into use here when we talk about how do students learn. We can teach, we can finish our syllabus and take PT1s and PT2s and half yearlies, right? But what about the kids? How are they learning? Or is it only rote memorization? That is what NEP is trying to break free from. That can be, rote memorization is important. We are not negating that. But together with the knowledge component, if we build in skills and attitudes.
Sorry to interrupt, Kalpana ma'am.
Yes,
A lot of people are writing the YouTube screen is blank, and even I'm looking at it, it's completely blank. Abhishek ji, can you look into that? The YouTube screen is blank.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shanti ma'am. Do feel free to share in case sound issues or anything.
Yeah, because I was thinking maybe individually they have to switch off, but then I'm trying, even mine is blank.
Okay.
So it will be nice if we can have some comments from the participants, those who can see it. That'll be reassuring for us. If it's just a case of few people, then I think we can continue because that's what happened yesterday. So it will be nice to reassure and put it because I can see. So if it will be nice if we could make sure that you're seeing it, just put few yeses addresses, and then we can continue.
Yeah, because it happened yesterday also. Abhishek,
You can ask the participants, ma'am, is everybody's screen blank? Just check it out on that.
Visible, ma'am.
okay, Deepa ma'am, visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So can we move ahead then?
Yeah, I think those who it's not visible, they can switch it off and switch on maybe. That's
Switch on
what we can tell.
Yeah. Probably connectivity issues with all the rains and everything. So that could be also a reason.
No, but everybody, most of them are writing can't see. No
So
screen,
there are
no
more
visible,
blank
not visible.
screen than
More
yes.
blank screen has come. One has written it is visible. Now it is visible. Somebody is like Deepak Raman is writing. Otherwise, everybody is writing not visible, blank.
I'll stop sharing and go back again.
Redo it. I think so, ma'am. Everyone saying blank. Quite a number, rather. Not everyone. Quite a number is saying.
So, ma'am, I'll start then because
Yeah.
then maybe, we can put it up again later.
Okay.
So, is it visible now, Shanti ma'am, to you? I had stopped sharing and I'm sharing again.
Yes, it's visible, ma'am. Now it's visible for me.
Okay. So in case it's fluctuating, then I don't know, there must be something with the technology part. So let's continue here. And let's use our audio skills then, although I'm sorry if the screen is not visible for whatever reason. So I'll try and go slow and you can use your audio skills. The kinesthetic learners and the audio learners, yes. So we have, when we say varied teaching learning approaches, do the teachers empowered enough to know what they are? And when we say needs of the diverse students, if you can also put into the chat box, what do you think it means, needs of the diverse students? Who could be these diverse students? It could be students with the linguistic problem. It could be students who are first generation learners. It could be students like me who are mathematically challenged. It could be students who there is a physical illness for some time. It could be a learning disability. It could be a family issue. It could be a health issue. So it could be the needs. Are we as teachers, as I said, the teachers are also super persons, right? So it's they have to keep themselves Wi-Fi to be tuned to each child. And if you're doing that, you're creating a conducive environment where every child feels comfortable. And every child wants to come to school, not just the primary school, but also the senior children. If the environment is meaningful, if the environment is conducive, warm, caring, EQ and IQ taken care of, I think that conducive environment will happen. So let's connect the dots to what Rita ma'am said yesterday, that if, and Shanti ma'am said on day one, that if we want our learners to be all of this, caring, compassionate, risk takers, collaborators, problem solvers, critical thinkers, confident, socially responsible, and so forth, what is it that we need to do in schools? When children come to us in nursery KG or in grade 1 and pass out in grade 10 or in grade 12, can we say for sure that children do have some degree of the skills that we are wanting them to be empowered with? Some may have more, some may have less, the degrees could change, but that is exactly what we are talking about here, that are we able to build those knowledge, skills and attitudes which will help them later on in life as a competency to kind of apply those skills in their future. So this was another example we took up yesterday. So, and some of you had very nicely put it in the chat box, the skills that a child would learn of trying to analyze why music is loved or not loved by people. And in case I have to pick up a music career, not necessarily it has to be in singing. It could be in technology, it could be a sound recordist, it could be playing the instruments. And why? Choosing a musical instrument, the critically thinking, which instrument should I use? Which materials should I use that are eco-friendly? How do I go about designing it? critical and creative thinking, which are independent. They are not separate from each other. I have to create and write a song, cognitive levels, higher cognitive levels, and I'm making ethical choices that I'm not copying them. I'm playing the tune. I'm applying what I'm learning. I'm collaborating and sharing with the others. I'm also doing a research work, finding out about more about my country. I may have never heard of some music or some audio played in a particular region. And I'm wondering, what are these instruments made up of? So, aren't we making children think? The idea was writing skills. But in those writing skills, if the child is able to introduce these components, it's much more than an essay, much more than just a general essay that we are talking about. And we are saying that imagine you're an entrepreneur. So you're also making them think about that, yes, if I do this, and how can I make a business proposal and provide a meaningful living to our artists who are not respected at times? So we need to look at that, how are we respecting our musicians, our artists, our dancers, our performers, our theater people, our gardeners, our IT people, our lab technicians? How are we kind of valuing them? So if you look at these, there are about 9 pointers here, and each one of them is building either a subject specific skill or a cognitive level, taking from lower order to higher order, or it's building up attitudes. Attitude towards the country, attitude towards building up their competencies, attitude towards respect and value for the artisans and craftsmen. So when we say KSA, in one small activity, that KSA is being covered. And this is what our cycle looks like. So at heart, we are all teachers. So our cycle looks like this. So where we are saying that we plan the schedule, there's an ACPP that we plan, क्या करेंगे, कैसे करेंगे, कब करेंगे, all of that. Then we develop our teaching plans. हमारे जो lesson plans हैं, they are aligned to the outcomes, and then according to the assessments, activities are planned. We use multiple teaching methodologies. And then बीच में we are also assessing कि बच्चे उस skill में are they moving forward or not, वो आगे बढ़ रहे हैं कि नहीं बढ़ रहे हैं, और हम उनका एक निरीक्षण भी कर रहे हैं, डायग्नोसिस भी कर रहे हैं कि ये कौन से स्किल में वो आप अच्छा कर रहे हैं और कौन सी स्किल में उनको सपोर्ट चाहिए. तो यू आर ऑल्सो केटरिंग टू द नीड्स ऑफ ऑल लर्नर्स, एंड दैट इज़ वाई यू आर इंटीग्रेटिंग असेसमेंट फॉर लर्निंग. आप हर जगह उसको इंटीग्रेट कर रहे हो. वो करने के बाद देन यू कम टू ऑफ लर्निंग. योर पीरियोडिक असेसमेंट्स हैं, हाफ ईयरलीज हैं, ईयर एंड असेसमेंट्स हैं. फिर आप अपनी परफॉर्मेंस रिपोर्ट्स बनाते हैं, एरर्स निकालते हैं, एरर एनालिसिस करते हैं, अपनी खुद की टीचिंग को इम्प्रूव करते हैं. जो फीडबैक और फीड फॉरवर्ड मिलता है उसको आप देख के अपनी टीचिंग को मॉडिफाई करते हैं. Right, so when we did a little survey, and we found that most of the teachers rated this box use of multiple teaching methodologies, assessment for learning, diagnosis and integration. ये 4 boxes काफ़ी जगह पे ये निकल के आए that we need to improve on this. And कहीं कहीं पे ये वाले last 2, sharing of feedback and modifying teaching and assessment plans for the next term based on the report. This is monitoring and completing your process when we were talking about systems thinking approach, right? So friends, this is a cycle which all schools follow. कैसे भी स्कूल होंगे वो फॉलो करेंगे, लेकिन हमें देखना है कि कौन से बॉक्सेस हमारे स्ट्रेंथ हैं, कौन से बॉक्सेस हमारे वीक एरियाज हैं, एंड उनको हम स्ट्रेंथन करें. दैट इज़ व्हाट वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट. सो लेट्स लुक एट वन एग्जाम्पल हियर कि जब हम प्लानिंग करते हैं, एनुअल बाइफर्केशन की प्लानिंग करते हैं, तो शुरू में हम क्या करते थे, अप्रैल में क्या पढ़ेंगे, जून में क्या पढ़ेंगे, जुलाई में क्या पढ़ेंगे, अगस्त सितंबर, हम वो पूरा एक सिलेबस का बाइफर्केशन कर लेते थे, सिलेबस का करते थे, राइट, चैप्टर्स का, टॉपिक्स का. अब हम स्किल्स की भी बात कर रहे हैं, एटीट्यूड्स की भी बात कर रहे हैं. तो हाउ आर वी गोइंग टू डेवलप दोज? सो नाउ अदर देन एनुअल बाइफर्केशन, नंबर ऑफ वर्किंग डेज हमने निकाले, ओके इतने वर्किंग डेज हैं, इतने हमारे पास टाइम है, एंड वी डू द बाइफर्केशन. अब क्या करें? नेक्स्ट टास्क इज दैट हाउ डू वी डिज़ाइन आर हर चैप्टर को हम कैसे लेंगे। अगर मेरे पास क्लास 6 में 10 चैप्टर हैं, उन 10 चैप्टर को मुझे अगर समराइज़ करना है कि मैं हर चैप्टर में क्या बिल्ड करूँगी, हर चैप्टर में बिग पिक्चर क्या दिख रही है मुझे। सोशल साइंस में अगर मैं वर्ड्स करती हूँ तो बिग पिक्चर क्या है। आई वॉन्ट पीपल टू गेट इन टू पीस रेजोल्यूशन, आई वॉन्ट पीपल टू गेट आउट ऑफ कॉन्फ्लिक्ट्स, आई वॉन्ट पीपल के डिस्ट्रैक्शन ना हो, और वो अपने कोरिलेट करेंगे अपनी लाइफ से कि हम जो छोटी छोटी लड़ाइयाँ करते रहते हैं, अपने पियर्स के साथ करते रहते हैं, बुलिंग होती रहती है, सो इट विल डायरेक्टली इम्पैक्ट दैट लर्निंग ऑल्सो। सो वी आर थिंकिंग इन अ ब्रॉडर पिक्चर कि हम ये नहीं सोच रहे कि एग्ज़ाम में क्या आएगा, हमें वो कराना है, वो भी करिए, वो नॉलेज कंपोनेंट है, बट एट द सेम टाइम ये चैप्टर करने से क्या होगा, मैं क्यों पढ़ूँ, मैं पाइथागोरस क्यों पढूं, ट्रिग्नोमेट्री क्यों पढूं। हम यूज़ ही नहीं करते हैं 10th के बाद, मोस्ट ऑफ अस, एटलीस्ट आई डोंट, राइट। सो दैट थॉट ऑफ कोरिलेटिंग विद रियल लाइफ, एप्लीकेशन टू रियल लाइफ एंड मेकिंग देम इनटू अ लाइफ लॉन्ग लर्नर, कि हम इससे हमें क्या सीख मिल रही है कि आगे हम क्या करें या क्या नहीं करें, इज व्हाट वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट, राइट। सो एंड वी आर प्रिपेयरिंग द लेसन प्लान्स अकॉर्डिंगली. So let's look at Rita ma'am, is the screen visible? Quick check.
Visible, ma'am. It is visible.
Yes,
Shanti?
yes,
Okay.
yes.
Thank you. So when we are doing the planning of our annual curriculum and pedagogical plan, and principals and leaders have undergone the pedagogical leadership also. So this is one example that has come from a school. As I said, keep sharing. That will help. Class 7, subject social science, topic environment, and number of periods 5. Somebody had asked about sharing of annual curriculum and pedagogical plan. तो सबसे पहला ख्याल क्या आना चाहिए कि मैं कैसे अचीव करूँगी नॉलेज कंपोनेंट, वो तो हम कर लेते हैं। स्किल कंपोनेंट, कौन सी स्किल्स बिल्ड करना चाहती हूँ और कौन से एटीट्यूड्स बिल्ड करना चाहती हूँ। एनवायरनमेंट चैप्टर में इजी है बिकॉज यू आर टॉकिंग अबाउट कंजर्वेशन ऑफ फ्लोरा फौना एंड एवरीथिंग एल्स। सो हाउ डू आई नो दैट माई ऑब्जेक्टिव्स हैव बीन अचीव्ड और नॉट, वो मुझे कैसे पता चलेगा, ये मोटा मोटा मुझे सोचना है व्हेन आई एम प्रिपेयरिंग माई ACPP. So I hope that this is visible. I know this is too much of text, but I wanted to show you the complete picture. डिटेलिंग हम आपको उसमें भी देंगे, सेल्फ पेस लर्निंग मटेरियल जो CBSE का बन रहा है, और प्रायोरिटी पे करिकुलम पेडागोजी असेसमेंट ही बना रहे हैं, तो वी विल गिव यू द रिसोर्सेज. बट आई डेंट वांट टू कट डाउन द टेक्स्ट फॉर विजिबिलिटी पर्पसेस, बट आई वांटेड टू शो यू द बिगर पिक्चर. तो हम ये 7th का सोशल साइंस एक्सट्रैक्ट है, 5 पीरियड्स हैं. सब टॉपिक्स टीचर ने लिखा है, टाइप्स ऑफ एनवायरनमेंट में कराना चाहती हूँ और इकोसिस्टम कराना चाहती हूँ और अप्रैल में कराना चाहती हूँ, राइट. सो मेरे लर्निंग आउटकम्स पहले सोच रही हूँ मैं, और NCERT से टैली भी कर रही हूँ. मैं बच्चों को क्या कराना चाहती हूँ, आइडेंटिफाई कराना चाहती हूँ डिफरेंट कंपोनेंट्स. आई वांट देम टू एनालाइज, विश्लेषण करें कि अलग अलग इकोसिस्टम्स कौन से होते हैं, इवैल्यूएट करें कि उसका इफ़ेक्ट क्या होता है अगर ह्यूमन इंटरवेंशन होती है तो, और एक स्ट्रैटेजी बनाई जाए कि मेरे आसपास में अगर कोई एनवायरमेंटल प्रॉब्लम है, कुड भी छोटी सी, कि लोग सारे कूड़ा अपना घर के बाहर फेंकते हैं, कैन बी अ स्मॉल लिटिल थिंग, डेवलप्स कोलैबोरेटिव स्किल्स, क्योंकि मैं आई हैव प्लान्ड फॉर ग्रुप वर्क, और फिर अपने आप को भी असेस करें और दूसरों को भी करें. डिज़ाइन रूब्रिक्स, बच्चे को पता चले कि रूब्रिक भी कैसे बनाते हैं, प्रेजेंटेशंस करें, आर्टिकल लिखें, एक एडवर्टाइजमेंट भी बनाएं और सेल्फ अवेयरनेस भी करें. सो कैन यू इमेजिन कि 5, इट्स नॉट कि हर एक के लिए आपको अलग अलग एक्टिविटी करनी है, बट यू कैन 2-3 एक्टिविटीज़ में आप इतनी सारी स्किल्स को आप कवर कर रहे हो. अब लुक एट द टीचर की सोच, वो इतनी अच्छी लगी मुझे. सो टीचर ने जब ये आउटकम प्लान करे तो साथ साथ टूल्स भी प्लान करे, साथ साथ एक्टिविटी भी सोची कि मैं क्या करूँगी इसमें. सो द टीचर प्लान टास्क 1, 2, 3, 4 एंड शी प्लान कि मैं एक प्रोजेक्ट के थ्रू करूँगी इसको, because she wanted to build collaborative skills. She wanted them to investigate, work together, etc. तो पहले वाले टास्क में शी प्लान्स कि वो मैं कॉन्सेप्ट मैप बनवाऊंगी, प्रेजेंटेशंस करेंगे और पीयर एंड सेल्फ असेसमेंट होगा. टास्क 2 में शी प्लान्स कि एक वीडियो घर पे देखेंगे, सेविंग ऑन टाइम, क्योंकि आप लोग के मन में आ रहा होगा कि इतना कुछ वो 5 पीरियड में कैसे करेंगे. सो शी हैज़ प्लान्ड इट आउट कि वो घर पे वीडियो देखेंगे, की लर्निंग नोट करके लेके आएंगे हाइब्रिड मोड, तो स्कूल में आके एक दूसरे को कंपेयर करके डिस्कस करके बताएंगे. टास्क 3 में अगेन दिल वॉच द वीडियो एट होम. फिर एक रिपोर्ट ग्रुप, पूरे ग्रुप ने एक रिपोर्ट लिखनी है और एक आर्टिकल लिखना है. टास्क 4 में अपने नेबरहुड में जाएंगे, सर्वे करेंगे, स्ट्रैटेजी बनाएंगे कि कोई प्रॉब्लम है तो उसको कैसे हैंडल करें, और एक एडवर्टाइजमेंट और जिंगल भी बनाएंगे. जब ये चारों टास्क पूरे हो जाएंगे, दे विल हैव अ रिफ्लेक्शन शीट, और वो रिफ्लेक्शन शीट जो है उनकी पोर्टफोलियो में भी जाएगी. और उसके बाद जब वो टीचर देखेगा, फीडबैक एंड फीड फॉरवर्ड देगा और बोलेगा एक पर्टिकुलर ग्रुप ने वीडियो नहीं देखा, सो ओके, टास्क 3 इज स्टिल इनकम्प्लीट, फिनिश इट. एक ने देख तो लिया टास्क 2 में, लेकिन की लर्निंग नहीं लिखी, ऑल राइट, प्लीज गो एंड कंप्लीट इट. एक में उनको लगा कि हम कहाँ जाएं, हमें समझ नहीं आ रहा, हमारे पेरेंट्स हमें अलाउ नहीं कर रहे हैं. Okay, so then should the operational planning and consensus and taking permission and all of that, and helping the children to find a problem in their neighborhood. So that is the intervention that we are talking about, or formative assessment that we are talking about, or assessment for learning that we are talking about. और वो कैसे दिखेगा आपको? जब बच्चा रूब्रिक बनाएगा, जब बच्चा प्रोजेक्ट दिखाएगा, जब बच्चा पोर्टफोलियो में डालेगा, अपनी नोटबुक में कुछ लिखेगा, आर्टिकल लिखेगा, रिपोर्ट बनाएगा, कॉन्सेप्ट मैप बनाएगा, एक दूसरे को असेस करेगा, चेकलिस्ट बनाएगा, रिफ्लेक्शन शीट भरेगा, जिंगल बनाएगा एज अ ग्रुप, जो ग्रुप वर्क है. सो इमेजिन जो आपने प्लान किया है उसका हर एक का एक आउटकम दिख रहा है. वो आउटकम देख के आप बोल सकते हैं कि ये ग्रुप जो है समझ गया, कर भी रहा है और ठीक कर रहा है. ये ग्रुप थोड़ा स्लो चल रहा है, तेरे गैप्स आ रहे हैं, आई नीड टू हेल्प दिस ग्रुप. दैट इज असेसमेंट फॉर लर्निंग, एंड वील बी टेकिंग दैट अप टुमारो ऑल्सो विद दीपा मैम. राइट, और आपको रिसोर्सेज क्या क्या चाहिए? एक सैम्पल चाहिए रूब्रिक का, कॉन्सेप्ट मैप का जो बच्चों को देंगे, एक चेकलिस्ट भी एक सैम्पल बच्चों के साथ शेयर करेंगे, पीयर असेसमेंट शीट चाहिए आपको, वीडियोस चाहिए. अब बिकॉज यू आर लिंकिंग इट टू लैंग्वेजेस ऑल्सो, आपको आर्टिकल राइटिंग का फॉर्मेट भी चाहिए, एंड यू नीड टू हैव द रिफ्लेक्शन शीट रेडी. सो कैन यू इमेजिन दैट एक छोटे से 5 days में आपकी 21st सेंचुरी स्किल्स, जब वो ग्रुप वर्क कर रहे हैं, क्रिटिकल थिंकिंग कर रहे हैं, क्रिएटिव थिंकिंग कर रहे हैं, एक्सप्लोर कर रहे हैं, रिसर्च कर रहे हैं, टेक्नोलॉजी यूज़ कर रहे हैं, साइंस का कंपोनेंट जब आप एनवायरमेंटल इश्यूज देख रहे हैं, आर्ट का कंपोनेंट जब आप इंटीग्रेट कर रहे हैं विद एडवर्टाइजमेंट एंड जिंगल एटसेट्रा. एक किसी ने पूछा था हाउ डू यू इंटीग्रेट म्यूजिक एंड डांस. So when they are creating an advertisement, they can create their own background music into it, they can create a jingle into it. And languages, because they have to write that project, present that project, write an article, write a report. तो ये प्लानिंग सारी टीचर के माइंड में थी, और ये एक एक दिन पहले नहीं हो सकती है. सो एज लीडर्स प्रॉबेबली हमें वी हैव टू गिव द टीचर्स द टाइम एंड द एम्पावरमेंट. मुझे नहीं पता कॉन्सेप्ट मैप क्या होता है, मुझे नहीं पता रूब्रिक कैसे डिज़ाइन करते हैं, मुझे नहीं पता सेल्फ असेसमेंट और पीयर असेसमेंट कैसे करते हैं, तो मैं अपने ACPP में क्या डालूं? मुझे रोल प्ले पता है, मुझे PPT पता है, मुझे डिबेट पता है, मुझे क्विज पता है. सो आई माइट ओनली पुट दैट. So that means again there is a gap somewhere in case it is not happening, which you will need to analyze. Right, so this is one sample. There are other formats also. ऐसा नहीं है लकीर का फकीर की ऐसा ही होना चाहिए. As long as the learning outcomes are there, assessment tools दिख रहे हैं, क्या strategies आप यूज़ करोगे. अब मुझे पता ही नहीं है strategies क्या होती हैं, मुझे यही नहीं पता कि वो एक्सपीरियंशियल लर्निंग के 4 stages क्या होते हैं. सो हाउ विल आई यूज स्ट्रैटेजीज? और हम एक्सपेक्ट कर रहे हैं कि टीचर स्ट्रैटेजीज लिखें. Not possible, no? So let's empathize with the teachers as to what do they know, what they don't know. And ये एक साल में उनको हम empower करें, 6 months में, 8 months में, 1 year में we empower them. So I do hope I'm making sense there. अब ये 5 पीरियड का जो ये तो मोटा ओवरऑल पिक्चर थी कि आई एम डूइंग दिस 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 दिस. नाउ लेट्स सी हाउ डिड द टीचर स्प्लिट अप दीज आउटकम्स इनटू दोज 5 पीरियड्स. और अगर मैं अभी जब आपको दिखाऊंगी तो द टीचर हैज़ पिक्ड अप, आइडेंटिफाई द डिफरेंट कंपोनेंट्स, develop collaborative skills, assess themselves and peer. ये 3 आउटकम्स वो फर्स्ट पीरियड में ले रही हैं. Right. So what is the outcome? Identify the different components, assess themselves, develop collaborative skills is the outcome. So ये जो टॉपिक है बीच में, जो येलो सर्कल्स हैं वो एक्सपेक्टेड आउटकम्स हैं हर पीरियड में, और ये जो रेक्टेंगल्स या स्क्वायर्स हैं ब्लू कलर के, दे आर द टास्क. आपने टास्क क्या दिया बच्चों को? कॉन्सेप्ट मैप बनाओ, प्रेजेंटेशंस करो और फिर एक दूसरे को असेस करो. और विजिबल आउटकम ये दिख रहे हैं. और फीडबैक एंड फीड फॉरवर्ड के बाद क्या इम्प्रूवमेंट हुआ? बिकॉज दिस इज ऑनगोइंग. हम जनरली लॉट ऑफ टाइम्स वर्बली भी करते हैं, लॉट ऑफ टाइम्स हम सिर्फ एक लेट से कि हम पूछते हैं कि ओके समझ आया कि नहीं आया, एंड यू हैव एन इमेज हियर, नहीं आया, ओके, और यू हैव एन इमेज, ओके आई एम कंफ्यूज्ड. रीटा मैम, आर माई प्ले कार्ड्स विजिबल? Hopefully. So we can use a lot of play cards.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, especially for the primary classes. For seniors, we have other strategies. Right? So what the teacher thought कि इस 5 पीरियड को मैं कैसे effectively utilize करूँगी. Because if you don't plan your period, then you say मैं तो 10 साल से पढ़ा रही हूँ ना, I know what to teach. वो content तो पता है मुझे, knowledge component तो पता है मुझे.
No, ma'am, not visible.
Sorry? Yeah. Right. So that is how the teacher will plan for a period 2, period 3, period 4 and period 5. Now this is the detailed from the lesson plan now. So पहले हमने ACPP बनाया सोच के, इस ACPP से आपका माइंड मैप बना, माइंड मैप से अब आपका लेसन प्लान बन रहा है. So the lesson plan is detailing that students will be divided into groups. Each group will be asked to create a concept map on components of environment. In case of help, research on your own, building independent skills. But also, if not successful, take help from your peers. If still not clear, ask a mentor or a teacher. So you are giving them the opportunity that don't hesitate to ask. And then there'll be a presentation by the groups on the key components and peer assessment by the other groups and self-assessment also. So I'm only explaining one task. There were 4 tasks in the ACPP, but I'm only sharing one task. और इसमें से outcome क्या निकल के आया? Develop collaborative skills, समूह की जो एक वो शक्ति होती है उसका विकास हुआ. और एक आपका रिसर्च जो बच्चों ने करा, उसमें उन्होंने एक कॉन्सेप्ट मैप बनाया. द नॉलेज पार्ट दैट वाज टेकन केयर ऑफ. सो द डिफाइनिंग, द प्रेजेंटिंग ऑफ द कॉन्सेप्ट मैप. और जब आपने कॉन्सेप्ट मैप देखा तो आपको समझ में आ गया कि कौन सा ग्रुप समझ गया, कौन सा ग्रुप नहीं समझा. जो नहीं समझा दे हैव टू रीडू इट व्हेन यू फाइंड आउट कि उसमें प्रॉब्लम क्या थी. सो आई एम नॉट गोइंग इनटू टास्क 2, 3 एंड 4. ये सारे डिटेल्ड लेसन प्लान्स हैं कि वीडियो देखेंगे फिर क्या करेंगे, फिर वीडियो देख के वो रिपोर्टर बनेंगे, आर्टिकल लिखेंगे, ग्रुप में कोई रिसर्चर बनेगा, इलस्ट्रेटर बनेगा. ओके, एंड देन वो जो एनवायरनमेंट वाली थीम है कि अपने नेबरहुड में जाके सर्वे करेंगे. एंड यूर ऑल्सो आस्किंग देम टू टेक परमिशन फ्रॉम द पेरेंट्स, मेक श्योर इट्स सेफ. और अगर किसी और की प्रॉपर्टी में जा रहे हैं तो डू टेक परमिशन. यू आर बिल्डिंग एथिक्स एंड वैल्यूज़. सो अगर वो इनबिल्ट है हमारे लेसन प्लान में, द टीचर्स डोंट फॉरगेट इट, बिकॉज अदरवाइज विल एंड अप ओनली प्रिपेयरिंग चिल्ड्रन फॉर द एग्जाम्स एंड फॉर द PT1s and PT2s. So friends, this was one, and this is very important that when you ask them to reflect, give them the support, and then they are asked to finally submit. और अगर आप इसको मार्क्स के लिए असेस कर रहे हो तो भी आपने फॉर्मेटिव असेसमेंट करके फिर असेस किया. तो अगर मुझे पहले बार में 2 out of 10 मिले, नेक्स्ट टाइम आई गॉट 6 out of 10, तो आई हैव शोन एन इम्प्रूवमेंट. सो इट डिपेंड्स कि आप इसको मार्क्स के लिए असेस करना चाहते हो, ग्रेड्स के लिए असेस करना चाहते हो, फॉर लर्निंग के लिए करना चाहते हो, ऑफ लर्निंग के लिए करना चाहते हो. दैट इज़ एन एम्पावर्ड टीचर्स चॉइस कि वो कैसे यूज़ करना चाहती हैं इनको, बिकॉज देर इज़ नो कैप्सूल. हम आपके पास साथ अगर लेसन प्लान शेयर भी कर देंगे, सो टीचर की सोच अलग हो सकती है. एक ही चीज़ को मैं 20 तरीकों से मैं पढ़ा सकती हूँ. सो इट कुड बी अ लिटिल डिफरेंट. और उसी लेसन प्लान में टीचर्स के रिफ्लेक्शंस भी आएंगे कि हैप्पी मोमेंट्स क्या थे मेरे लिए, चैलेंजिंग मोमेंट्स थे कि मेरे 5 पीरियड में नहीं ख़त्म हुआ, सो आई हैड टू टेक एन एक्स्ट्रा पीरियड. चैलेंजिंग मोमेंट्स थे कि कुछ बच्चों के यहाँ टेक्नोलॉजी नहीं थी, सो दे हैड टू शेयर इट विद द अदर्स. राइट. सो दोज एनीथिंग जो आपको लगता है कि हैप्पी एंड चैलेंजिंग, एंड फील फ्री टू राइट इट, ये आपके लिए ही है. रेड फ्लैग्स मतलब कि अगर आपको लगता है कि कहीं पे ये इंक्लूसिविटी का स्पेशली है कि अगर जो बच्चा अपने लर्निंग लेवल्स तक नहीं मीट कर रहा है एंड यू आर ट्राइंग योर बेस्ट और नहीं हो पा रहा है, सो इट्स लाइक अ फर्स्ट एड डायग्नोसिस कि अब क्या करें. राइट. सो द एविडेंस जो है आपका एक साइंस स्कूल का भी है. सो आई क्विकली रन थ्रू दिस. सिमिलरली किसी ने लेसन प्लान के बारे में पूछा था. सो दिस ऑल्सो गिव्स यू अ टेम्पलेट फॉर अ लेसन प्लान कि हमने टॉपिक लिखा. अब मैं अगर सिस्टम्स कर रही हूँ तो आई एम नॉट डूइंग दी सिस्टम्स टू गेट गुड मार्क्स. I am also doing the systems to understand my own body and how to take care of my own body so that I don't misuse it and I don't abuse it. Right. So the larger picture is that not only will I be able to identify, but I will also be able to correlate the system to my well-being. The learning outcomes identify करो, label करो, define करो, lower order thinking, list करो, knowledge part. नाउ एनालाइज करो, इवैल्यूएट करो. हम कॉग्निटिव लेवल पे ऊपर जा रहे हैं. कोलैबोरेटिव स्किल्स हम अपने 21st सेंचुरी में जा रहे हैं. डेवलप अप्रिसिएशन फॉर डाइवर्सिटी. फिर हम अलग एक एटीट्यूड्स पे जा रहे हैं. पॉजिटिव एटीट्यूड टुवर्ड्स देयर बॉडी, एटीट्यूड्स पे जा रहे हैं. तो हमें ये देखना है कि हमारे लेसन प्लान में आर वी कवरिंग नॉलेज, स्किल्स एंड एटीट्यूड्स. अब ये टीचर क्या यूज़ करेगा? डेमोन्स्ट्रेशन यूज़ करेगा, रोल प्ले करेगा, पीयर असेसमेंट. हो सकता है मैंने 6 चीज़ें डाल दी बट मैं नहीं कर पाई, मैंने 3 यूज़ करी. डजेंट मैटर. आई राइट इट इन माई चैलेंजिंग मोमेंट्स दैट आई वॉज ओवर एम्बिशियस. मैंने थोड़ा ज़्यादा डाल दिया. सो आई विल ट्राई नेक्स्ट टाइम टू मेक श्योर दैट आई फिट इन टू द टाइम लिमिट. सो इसके लिए मटेरियल्स क्या क्या चाहिए? बुक्स चाहिए, हैंडआउट्स चाहिए, वर्कशीट्स चाहिए. इसको करेंगे कैसे? पहले हम बच्चों से इनपुट्स लेंगे. अब एक एक्टिविटी है ब्रूट थिंकिंग, मतलब हमने अलग अलग चीज़ें बोली. नाउ द चिल्ड्रन हैव टू कनेक्ट द डॉट्स कि हम किसके बारे में बात कर रहे हैं, और अल्टीमेटली निकल के आएगा कि हम सिस्टम्स के बारे में बात कर रहे हैं. राइट. तो वो फिर अपना उसको एक कैटेगरी में डिस्प्ले करेंगे कि ये नर्वस सिस्टम के ऑर्गन्स हैं, या डाइजेस्टिव के हैं, या रेस्पिरेटरी के हैं. फिर एक गैलरी वॉक, सारे बच्चे घूम के देखेंगे कि सब ग्रुप्स ने ठीक लिखा कि नहीं लिखा, और उसको उनको जो एक हैंडआउट मिला हुआ है उससे अपने आप सेल्फ असेसमेंट करके करेक्शंस भी देखेंगे. सो द चिल्ड्रन आर गेटिंग एम्पावर्ड टू टेक देयर ओन डिसीजन कि हम सही कर रहे हैं या गलत कर रहे हैं. सो द टीचर इज़ ओनली द फैसिलिटेटर हियर. फिर 4 ग्रुप्स बने: डाइजेस्टिव सिस्टम, रेस्पिरेटरी सिस्टम, सर्कुलेटरी और नर्वस सिस्टम. सो एक ग्रुप अवश्य है कि एक बार एक स्कूल में देखा जहाँ पे वो पूरा सर्कुलेटरी सिस्टम उन्होंने थ्रू कथक परफॉर्मेंस किया. तो जब हार्ट की बारी आती थी तो वो धक 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 धक, फिर 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4 विद द व्हाट डू यू कॉल दैट, तत्काल स्टेप्स एंड ऑल ऑफ दैट, एंड विद ब्लू चुन्नीज एंड रेड चुन्नीज. और पीछे एक सूत्रधार था, और पीछे टेक्नोलॉजी में उसका लेबलिंग एंड ऑल दैट भी चल रही थी. एंड इट वॉज अमेजिंग इंटीग्रेशन. सो द होल प्रोसेस इज़ वेयर बच्चे जो पूरे ग्रुप हैं वो आइडेंटिफाई करेंगे, उसके फंक्शंस ढूंढेंगे. तो ये सारा आपका नॉलेज कंपोनेंट आ रहा है. अब आ रहा है आपका स्किल कंपोनेंट कि व्हेन दे आर गोइंग, हाउ आर दे गोइंग टू डू इट. रोल प्ले में करेंगे, डांस से करेंगे, जिंगल से करेंगे, एडवर्टाइजमेंट से करेंगे, टेक्नोलॉजी यूज़ करेंगे. चॉइस इज देयर्स. वो ग्रुप की चॉइस है, वो क्या करना चाहते हैं. डिसीजन मेकिंग, प्रॉब्लम सॉल्विंग. हर ग्रुप अपनी अपनी स्क्रिप्ट लिखेगा, प्रॉप्स बनाएगा, कोलैबोरेट करेगा. अगेन क्रिटिकल थिंकिंग, क्रिएटिव थिंकिंग हैपनिंग हियर, कोलैबोरेटिव स्किल्स हैपनिंग हियर. हर प्रेजेंटेशन के थ्रू वो ऑर्गन बनेंगे. राइट. एंड डिस्कस करेंगे थ्रू देयर प्रेजेंटेशंस कि अगर एक ऑर्गन नहीं है तो क्या होगा. एक स्कूल में एक डिबेट चल रही थी कि हार्ट इंपॉर्टेंट है या ब्रेन इंपॉर्टेंट है. एंड वाज सो इंटरेस्टिंग टू सी एंड हियर दैट डिबेट. और फिर क्योंकि हर ग्रुप ने सिर्फ एक ही सिस्टम करा है, नाउ द जिग्जॉ स्ट्रैटेजी में क्या होता है कि हर ग्रुप का मेंबर दूसरे ग्रुप में जाके बताएगा एंड देन दे कम बैक टू देयर ओन ग्रुप्स. So there's a strategy that's called as jigsaw, so that every group member knows each of the systems. हो सकता है ये अभी आप कोरिलेट नहीं कर पाओ क्योंकि ये ट्रेनिंग सेशन नहीं है, ये अवेयरनेस सेशन है. तो अगर ट्रेनिंग होगी तो हम फिर ये एक्चुअली करवाएंगे आपसे टू एक्सपीरियंस इट. एक्सपीरियंशियल लर्निंग अभी आपकी नहीं हो रही है बिकॉज यू आर ओनली मोर ऑफ अ पैसिव लिसनर. क्योंकि जब हम एक लार्ज स्केल पे करते हैं तो दैट इंटरेक्शन इज़ नॉट पॉसिबल. ऑल्दो हमारी पूरी टीम कोशिश करती है कि आपके जो इनपुट्स हैं चैट बॉक्स में हैं, हम कोशिश करते हैं कि रिस्पॉन्ड कर पाएँ. इन केस नहीं कर पाते हैं या ओवरलुक हो जाता है, वी अपोलोजाइज फॉर दैट. But yes, definitely, as a pedagogical leader, I would definitely like to have more of an interactive session, जैसे आप कहते हैं. But the purpose of these sessions are only awareness sessions. They are not facilitating or training kind of sessions. I hope you understand that. So ये हो गया आपका. And then इंक्लूसिविटी, आपने क्या मॉडिफिकेशंस करें, एकोमोडेशंस करें. कुछ बच्चों के लिए बड़े बड़े क्यू कार्ड्स बनाए क्योंकि हो सकता है विजुअली मेरे को कम दिखता हो, तो विजुअल कार्ड्स बने हैं. हो सकता है मुझे कॉन्सेप्ट एब्स्ट्रैक्ट जल्दी नहीं समझ में आते हैं, आपने मेरे को वीडियोस दिखाए. हो सकता है मैं काइनेस्थेटिक लर्नर हूँ तो मैंने क्ले के साथ बना बना के करा. या हो सकता है मुझे आपकी इंटरवेंशन चाहिए, मुझे आपकी हेल्प चाहिए, मुझे आप सिंपल वे में समझाओ. So these are modifications and accommodations that are happening, which is assessment for learning also. तो हम assessment को एग्ज़ाम ना देखें. Here we are talking about assessment for learning, not for examination purposes. For growing on the progress, in each progress. Closure क्या करेंगे, सारे बच्चे सारे ग्रुप्स ने माइंड मैप बनाया कि ऑर्गन्स ये हैं, फंक्शंस ये हैं, नहीं होगा तो इम्पैक्ट बॉडी पे क्या होगा. Right, and the recapitulation by another activity or a strategy called as exit card. अब हमने exit card बोला लेकिन मुझे नहीं पता कि exit card क्या होता है. So I need to know that my teachers इतना जानते हैं, इतना नहीं जानते हैं, and then you bridge in the gaps. As a pedagogical leader, you will have to bridge those gaps. और homework या independent practice आपने क्या दी बच्चों को, एक worksheet दे दी, handout दे दिया to check for their understanding, or you can even go and tell them that okay, any practices that you feel are harmful to the body systems, discuss with your parents and come back and present it. और जो आपके हैप्पी मोमेंट्स, चैलेंजिंग मोमेंट्स होंगे वो यूनिट के बाद, आफ्टर द होल यूनिट इज़ ओवर, इट इज़ आफ्टर दैट. सो पोल्यूशन का भी एक है, बट आई डोंट वांट टू गेट इनटू द स्ट्रैटेजी बिकॉज इसमें भी वो एक स्किल बिल्डिंग है. यहाँ पे आई वांटेड टू शो यू, अगर सेल्फ और पीयर असेसमेंट इज़ अ वेरी सिंपल वन. इससे और भी बहुत डिटेल्ड आते हैं, बट आई डेंट वांट टू गेट इनटू दैट. वी वांटेड टू शो यू समथिंग वेरी सिंपल कि अगर हम एक पोल्यूशन के ऊपर हम कॉजेज, इफेक्ट्स और उसको फ्लैश कार्ड से ग्रेड 4 and 5 का है अगर हम प्रेजेंट करते हैं, सो व्हाट इज़ द काइंड ऑफ रूब्रिक. सो रूब्रिक में देर इज़ अ क्राइटेरिया, रूब्रिक में देर आर लेवल्स एंड रूब्रिक में देर आर डिस्क्रिप्टर्स. कई बार हम रूब्रिक को पैरामीटर बोल देते हैं, क्राइटेरिया बोल देते हैं, बट रूब्रिक में देर आर 3 थिंग्स. चेकलिस्ट बोल देते हैं, बट रूब्रिक में रिमेंबर दैट देर आर 3 थिंग्स. वन इज़ द लेवल्स, LCD याद कर लीजिए, L फॉर लेवल, C फॉर क्राइटेरिया एंड D फॉर डिस्क्रिप्टर्स. तो आप डिस्क्राइब करते हो कि A+ किसको मिलेगा, A किसको मिलेगा, B किसको मिलेगा, या 3 stars, 2 stars, 1 star, जो आपका लेवल आप डिसाइड करते हो. अगेन टीचर्स एम्पावरमेंट, हाउ व्हाट डू दे वांट टू असेस. सो वी केप्ट इट सिंपल. ओके, हमें कंटेंट में आपने जो मांगा तो वो चेंज होता रहेगा. इंग्लिश का चेंज हो जाएगा, हिंदी का चेंज हो जाएगा, मैथ्स का चेंज हो जाएगा, साइंस का कंटेंट चेंज हो जाएगा. प्रेजेंटेशन कैसे, उसका डिस्क्राइब करना पड़ेगा. प्रेजेंटेशन में आपको क्या चाहिए, ऑर्गेनाइज्ड, कॉन्फिडेंट, सिक्वेंशियल, कंसाइज, क्लैरिटी, वॉइस मॉड्यूलेशन, राइट, यूज़ ऑफ प्रॉप्स. तो यहाँ पे अगर हम देखें एंड कोलैबोरेशन. सो 4 क्राइटेरिया लिए हैं और ये लेवल्स लिए हैं. अगर आप मार्क्स देंगे तो मार्क्स को फिर आपको बताना पड़ेगा कि अगर 10 है तो कंटेंट कितने का होगा, प्रेजेंटेशन कितना का होगा, 8 कितने की होंगी, एंड हाउ मेनी मार्क्स विल द कोलैबोरेशन बी. So I just wanted to show you how a self and a peer assessment looks like. तो ऊपर लिखा होगा group 1, group 2, group 3, group 4, and you have to assess each other and you have to assess yourself. So what are you building the skill of? Evaluating self, evaluating others. और हमें जो डर लगता है कि नहीं बच्चे हमेशा गलत ही बोलेंगे, नहीं होता है. The children will, if you have trained them to give feedback, feed forward in a positive way, they will also learn to give feedback and feed forward in a positive way. अगर टीचर भी वैसे ही फीडबैक देता है पॉजिटिव वे में, the children are learning from the teacher. So that's why feedback and feed forward is hugely important. अब somebody had asked last time कि micro teaching कैसे दिखती है. So I've tried to introduce this to give a mini lesson on a specific topic. Yeah, and I think, yes, thank you, Rita ma'am, for the reminder about the time also. We're keeping a track. So, all right, so giving a mini lesson on a specific topic and teaching a short section. एक छोटा सा पार्ट को लेके हम उसको कैसे डेमोन्स्ट्रेट करते हैं. तो जब हम टीचिंग साइकिल की बात कर रहे थे, व्हेन यू एंटर द क्लास देयर इज एन ऑब्जेक्टिव दैट यू एंटर विद, यू हैव अ ट्रिगर, देन यू टेक अप द लेसन, देन यू डू अ recap and then you close it. So this is a 5-minute challenge for me, and I hope you will participate virtually, and even if there is a larger group, do participate. I'm sorry I can't see you or I can't see what you're writing, but the team, Rita ma'am, Deepa ma'am, Shanti ma'am are all there, keeping an eye that we don't miss out on any inputs. So let's do a 5-minute challenge, and the time right now is 3:52, and we say the topic is food. So I, as a teacher, अभी मेरा time नहीं शुरू हुआ. So as a teacher, my age is, I have to see whether what I'm taking up is age appropriate. Is it sequential? What is the knowledge, skills and attitudes I want to take up in this? How do I close it? How do I check for understanding? And what is the homework that I give you? Right. So I will not do the tasks with you because you are adults. I just want you to understand the concept of micro teaching. But जो actual tasks हैं वो मैं नहीं करूँगी. So task 1, I want all of you to think of the
Ma'am,
food.
Kalpana ma'am, probably we won't be able to do it synchronous because the video comes up at least 2 to 3 minutes later after the telecast has happened
No
from
problem.
our side. So synchronous answers will not come in, so you'll have to take it ahead without audience support.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to your support there, no? That will be keeping a track. Yeah. So think of all the food items in your refrigerator. Visualize the food items and look at them minutely. Maybe there's an apple there, maybe there's vegetables there, there's butter and cheese there. Smell them, imagine, visualize. We are only simulating. Feel them, touch them, knock at them, hear the different sounds that they make. Now, once you've done this, we categorize these under the headings given in Think Sheet 1. So हमारा component, knowledge component क्या था? Carbohydrates, fats, proteins, your energy giving foods and bodybuilding foods, etc., etc. So there is a sheet that the teacher has already prepared. All right, so I've given you this sheet and I'm assuming you've all done it. Task 2, in your groups, find out what could be the source of these food items. इनमें से आपको एनर्जी कौन सा देगा? इसमें से एक फूड आइटम सोच के देखो कि अगर वो आप कंटिन्यूसली रोज खा रहे हो, what will be the impact on your body system or organ as they travel through your digestive system. अब मिलके एक ऑटोबायोग्राफी लिखो in section B of your think sheet. Imagine you're eating that favorite food item of yours and what happens to it as it travels and you through your mouth and you chew it up and your saliva and juices, and then it travels into your food pipe. So think about it, imagine yourself as that food item and write the autobiography. So I'm imagining you're done with it. Now, after you've written this, would you like to make any changes to your teaching habits? If yes, why? And if no, why not? You are giving both the options to the children. Write down your thoughts in section C. One of the schools has started changing worksheet into think sheet क्योंकि उनको लगता था वर्कशीट में हम सिर्फ नॉलेज कंपोनेंट ही दे रहे हैं. Feel free to express your viewpoints. So now you're reflecting, मैं क्या खा रहे हैं, खा रहा हूँ, खा रही हूँ, क्यों खा रही हूँ, क्या मुझे चेंज करना चाहिए, नहीं करना चाहिए. मैंने उसको सेक्शन सी में लिख लिया. सो वी आर एज्यूमिंग यू हैव डन इट. उसके बाद हमने एक वीडियो देखा. दैट वीडियो वाज ऑन अ लॉट ऑफ वेस्टेज ऑफ फूड that happens on birthdays, marriages, weddings, etc., etc. Now the children have to reflect on how much food do you take in your plate. Is it enough? Maybe I stay hungry, I don't eat too much food, ये भी हो सकता है. Or I might be leaving food in the plate. Discuss with your partner on what you can do to avoid wasting food. And make a poster. I'm sorry for the wrong spelling there. Providing tips to avoid wastage of food in and outside the house. So friends, quickly tell me what are the components of food. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Done. Your homework is to prepare a grocery list with your parents. कि आप कैसा फूड खाना चाहोगे और अपने पेरेंट्स को कैसा फूड खाना चाहिए जो आपके फ्रिज में रख सकते हो आप. And provide suitable reasons why you want or don't want a specific food stuff. So I started at 3:52 and I am at 3:57. My 5-minute challenge achieved. Yes, you can give thumbs up for finishing it in 5 minutes. So the micro teaching is when we take through a concept, and if you want to, like, anything that you want your teachers to think about, you can take up smaller than this and but take up the entire lesson but in a 5 minutes. So I hope the people who had asked for micro teaching, it makes it clearer to them. Moving on to the next session, pedagogy. Oh my God, it's a huge thing. We were all going crazy that how do we put it together in 1.5 hours. Yes, so there will be a lot of gaps. I can sense that. But yes, let's build it up through the other capacity building programs that are being offered. Your standard 1.23, once again, refresh yourselves. Teachers are empowered to adopt varied teaching learning approaches. You saw a few examples of that, reflecting their understanding of the needs of the diverse students. So you're trying to use different strategies, different approaches, different modes, and you're doing it in a fun way to provide a conducive environment. So let's once again look at what do we know. The focus is not on tick marking our SQAA performance indicators. The focus is on, do we understand what the standard means to our children? What will be the impact on the children if we don't follow anything? So what would be the impact? Yes, very good. Knowledge component बहुत अच्छा हो जाएगा. That's definitely one impact. But maybe about the skills and all, I don't know then. You have to take that call. So as a teacher, as a principal, do I know what teaching learning approaches are, what teaching methodologies are, what teaching techniques are, what teaching strategies are? Do I know that if children don't learn, if they don't understand, if there is a gap somewhere, how do I help the children in diagnosing? How do I take help from my counselor? How do I take help from my coordinator? How do I take help from my fellow colleagues to understand? I may not know how to handle a child. So, how do I understand where is the problem, the current situation? How do I have the knowledge about how to improve if a child is not doing well in certain skills or concepts or in attitudes? And do I need any resources for it? Am I open to tell my principal that okay, I need this? Or is the principal ready to, all principals are very inclusive in nature. They want to help their children. But at times we get bogged down by the other pressures that come in. But this is a huge component of assessment for learning. Because all children will need help. Whether they are gifted, then also they'll need help in moving to the next levels. If there's any gap anywhere in the learning, they'll again need help. Whichever level they are on, we all need help. I think we've all been students and we know that we all required help at some point or the other, for whatever reasons. And if that help is given at the right time, So your FAQs might happen, the number of children is more, or this is that, or we don't have a teacher. So I think those are issues that we need to find alternatives for. If we are curious, if we have growth mindsets, if we have systems thinking mindsets, we will look for alternatives. Challenges will be there. That's why you and me, we are there, no? As as school leaders, to find out alternatives to our situations. So, friends, again, let's refresh our B.Ed funders. The behaviorist approach when we follow, when the children learn through nature, through environmental interaction, people around them, situations around them, nature around them. Humanistic approach, when the children try to educate themselves, take that ownership. And there's a mix and match. There's no one approach that you think I can take. It can be a mix and match also. A constructivist approach, where children learn the best when they actually learn from their experiences, experiential learning when we talk about, and construct new meaning out of that. Interactive approach, which we are not definitely having right now. So where everybody is more involved, all learners are involved and more active. An integrated approach, which is interdisciplinary, your English, maths, science, Hindi, Sanskrit, Marathi in Maharashtra, Punjabi in Punjab, and the South languages and all. So when you're making it multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary, the child is learning to make connections. The banking approach, that's interesting. The teacher deposits new information and knowledge. That's the banking approach. So teachers could be using multiple approaches at different times. So how empowered are we as leaders? That do we know how to design a lesson plan? First of all, as a principal, do I know how to design? If I don't know, let me build up people. Let me take people within the system who will be able to support me in this. So designing a lesson plan, how to design a trigger activity, how to design a main activity, how to design a closure, how to design a check for understanding, how to have accommodations and modifications. How do we check for understanding? Right? So we need to understand how are we doing as a pedagogical leader. And as John Dewey said, we don't learn from experiences, we learn from reflecting upon them. And that's why that 4-step approach. And that's why we say experiential learning is not just doing an activity. You reflect on that activity, you internalize on that activity, and you actually improve upon it. So that's how it goes. So Rita ma'am had taken up how we build up the kind of questions that we ask, the kind of tasks that we give. Some examples we took up in ACPP, some examples Rita ma'am had taken up in activities. How do we build up higher order thinking by designing our tasks? How do we cater to all learners? Once again, by integrating music, art, dance, collaborative skills, your naturalistic approach, your kinesthetic approach. So when we build up all of that, we are also catering to all learners. And inclusivity, when we are catering to learners who might have some special abilities that need to be taken care of. This is the buzzword of today, your learning cycle, the 4 steps. So friends, please don't say that experience, nature walk is experiential learning, or making a model is experiential learning. No. After making the model, when the other 3 steps are covered, then it becomes experiential learning. So we have problem-based learning. You give a problem. So PBL approaches, many of you are following. So I'm not going into detail on each one of them because that's a part of the training sessions then. This is, as I said, an awareness generation. Do we know the difference between group work and collaborative work? So group work where everybody individually knows their task, but in collaboration, everybody participates equally to have a common outcome. Do we have children getting into design thinking to solve problems? Do we look at the strategy of De Bono's 6 thinking hats? So I'd like to quickly, take up this cute little activity here. So basically, this is for teachers. So understanding what de bono's six hats mean, many of you must be already knowing about it. So it's not that you're telling the children wear a blue hat and a white hat and a red hat, but it's for the teachers to understand that you have to ask questions which are based on facts, knowledge. So if I'm focusing on knowledge and facts, then what is the hat that I'm wearing? Hypothetically, which hat am I wearing? It's the white hat. Okay, here I go. Rita ma'am, I'm definitely doing this activity because I've got my material.
Yes, yes. We are waiting.
Yeah. So I'm wearing my white hat. It means not that you're actually wearing a white hat, but the teacher is asking questions which are basic, remembering, understanding, factual information. If there is a war that has happened, which year, who were the warring parties, what was the impact, what were the causes, etc., etc. So the white hat focuses on facts. So the teacher is focusing on the knowledge part. Right. So when I talk about, let's say, the red hat, oh, sorry, I'm wearing the green one. I don't have a red one, but I had an orange thing here. So if I'm wearing the orange hat, it means, or a red hat, it talks about feelings and emotions. So अगर मैं आपको ये gold fish दिखा रही हूँ, तो I'm asking you questions like how many fishes are there, and you say two. Where are they? Are they in the ocean or in the bowl? They are in a bowl. Are they in water or without water? In water. That's the white hat. But if I ask you questions like, okay, what do you think the goldfish must be feeling? They've been taken away from their friends in the ocean and they've been put into a glass bowl. What do you think they must be talking to each other? Write a dialogue between the two. Okay. And they see somebody outside. So what do you think they would be talking to that person outside? There's a very cute little picture where there's a cat sitting there. So, what do you think they're telling the cat? So, it talks about feelings, emotions. There's no logical reason for it. It's just the feelings and the thoughts, right? And let's say, when the teacher is asking questions, which are fertile questions, when the questions are non routine questions, when the questions are that, okay, what would happen if we throw the fish back into the water? Or if there was no water and if we throw it into a dirty pond which is overfilled with oil, there is an oil spill that has happened. So, what would happen? So you're also talking about creativity or possibilities or alternatives. So these are, creative options also, that what should we do so that we can save our flora and fauna? Can you think of some solutions? So the green hat talks about creative alternatives and creative solutions. And if you're wearing the yellow hat, okay, here I go. If I'm wearing the yellow hat, again, not actually wearing it, but I'm thinking in that process that what is the benefit of having the different aquatic life? What's the importance of having fishes in the ecosystem? What would happen if there were no fishes in the ecosystem? Right? So, all different questions which would give you the benefits of having fishes in our underwater world. So why should they be there? So it's logical reasoning that's happening there, right? The black hat. Sorry, I didn't have a black, so I'm wearing a gray one. So that talks about caution. What should we not do to, to let the flora and fauna die? So we are talking about education for sustainable goals also. We are talking about the protection of our underwater world also. And the last one is, let's say we do a project. We look at the people, the fishes and their features and everything. We organize, we plan a project, and let's say we write a comic story or a graphic novel about fishes living in the water and their happiness or joy and their feelings and emotions, their sadness, what they go through when human beings intervene. Right. So the blue hat makes you organized, think sequentially, plan कि वो मैं स्टोरी बुक या ग्राफिक नॉवल या कार्टून स्ट्रिप मैं 6 स्टोरी बोर्ड्स बनाऊंगी या 10 स्टोरी बोर्ड्स बनाऊंगी. Should I make stick figures or should I do it through technology? Should I add animation into it? How much time do I have to present it? So I just wanted to take up one approach and one strategy which helps children to think differently. critical, creative thinking, alternative thinking, and all of that. So all the different approaches and strategies make our children think. अगर हम वो करेंगे ही नहीं, तो वो thinking कैसे होगी? Or if you are only stuck on the knowledge part, the skills and attitudes will not happen. The reflection, the experiential learning that we spoke about, what went well, what could have gone better, new knowledge gained, how can I improve, helps the child to move again on the developmental continuum. Circle of viewpoints gives you different perspectives. So if I'm saying that, okay, circle of viewpoints is that, okay, what does the fish think from that perspective? What would a plant who's near that fish in that ecosystem, what would the plant think about that oil spill? What does man or the captain of the ship think about that oil spill? All right. So thinking from different perspective also opens your divergent thinking. और आप अलग अलग सोचना शुरू हो जाते हो जो आपको लेटर ऑन लाइफ में हेल्प करेगा. So quickly, I'm running through these because these are all available on the websites and on the Google Baba and on the Chat GPTs. You just have to type them. There are only very few that I'm mentioning here, but there are hundreds of them. आप class type करो, strategy type करो, activity type करो, you'll get plenty. So languages के लिए shades of words, OPV, question the author, critiquing movies, songs, reviews, send a problem, mathematics में question, answer, explain and paraphrase, QAXP, match, mismatch, math के jokes, roll and cross games, geo boards, jigsaw strategy, PMI, that is plus, minus and interesting, inquiry, interviews, cause and effect in social sciences. And we can also not necessarily कि अगर ये social science के लिए है तो आप कहीं और use नहीं कर सकते, वो भी कर सकते हैं. Assumption busting, critical, creative, alternative thinking, validating. कल रीटा मैम ने वो लिया था. How do you validate कि आप जो Google में पढ़ रहे हो या किसी सोशल मीडिया पे पढ़ रहे हो कि वो एक्चुअली फैक्ट है या फेक न्यूज़ है? So assumption busting, fussing with definition, find it, fix it. So all these are different activities, approaches, and strategies. And a very cute one that we've all been talking about is the storytelling. And storytelling is a very powerful tool. Abhi in grade 11th or 12th, somewhere I saw an autobiography of a rusted iron. And very cute little autobiography which spoke about the iron being rusted and feeling very alone, feeling very different from the friends, and it wants to get included into the group. And what is it made up of? The components of iron, and also it had all the the thriller, pot boiler, drama, action, critical thinking, creative thinking, and all of that. Amazing. And that was from grade 11 or 12 when they were doing the inorganic chemistry on iron. So one quick example for storytelling. I'm sure all of you have lots of examples. We would want you to share them at the mail that is there at the end of the each presentation. Please do share your best practices. We'll definitely put them in the repository if possible. The lion and the rabbit. So this is one of the favorite strategies of many of us as well as in the classrooms, that what is the change in the story that we can see. So when CBSE told us about storytelling and all, it talks about select a topic first. So let's say the teacher selected light, and the teacher said that I can incorporate writing skills, mathematical skills, life skills, and visual and performing arts into it. And which story should I use? So the teacher said, okay, you can pick up a fable, you can pick up a fairy tale, you can pick up a folk tale, you can pick up Birbal and Akbar ki kahani, you can make up your own stories. Children can make up their own stories. So let's say the teacher picked up Lion and the Rabbit and had some extension activities, and if she needed help from the language teacher, science teacher, theater, etc., she collaborated with them. And this is the task that she gave them, because you have to contemporize it. We cannot live in the past. So there has to be a definite shift. So each student reads the story. They're divided into 5 groups and they have to role play the same story with a twist. It has to have a different ending or in between endings or whatever. And each group writes its own script, thinks of an alternative ending. Ensure that you include concepts of light, knowledge part, sound, mathematics, social science, integration, multidisciplinary, reflect life skills, 21st century skills in the role play. You may include background music also. So somebody had asked about music and dance and visual and performing arts. Prepare minimum 4 to 5 eco-friendly props. Make sure all group members are involved. And it was so interesting to see this activity when the one of the groups did it. So they spoke about, that when there is a meeting that is held with the rabbit and the other animals, that is lion ka kya kare. And so they talked about life skills, they talked about negotiation. एक ने बोला इसको छोड़ देते हैं, रहने दो इसको, like why bother him, let him be, let his led his own life. And then the other people said no, we can't let him bully us. So they were actually contemporizing the whole thing. So there was consensus building that happened कि okay, let's take him to that well. और जब वो उसको वेल पे लेके गए तो जब लायन ने देखा, सो रैबिट ने पुश नहीं किया, द लायन केम बैक, ही सेड यू आर चीटिंग मी, ये मैं नहीं हूँ, मेरा रिफ्लेक्शन है, मैंने लाइट के चैप्टर में पढ़ा था. So he talks about all the scientific concepts that it is not me, it is only my reflection. And then of course then they added on a lot of other humorous elements into it. Eventually the lion goes into the is thrown into the well. फिर एक life skills वाला strong बच्चा कहता है हमने बहुत गलती कर दी, we shouldn't have thrown him, let's pull him out. So then they pull the lion out. एंड देन ऑल द एनिमल्स दैट हेड ईटन, तो उसकी सर्जरी होती है, फिर वो एनिमल्स को सारे बाहर निकाल देते हैं. नाउ अनदर चाइल्ड कैन क्वेश्चन हाउ इज इट पॉसिबल, साइंटिफिकली पॉसिबल नहीं है. सो द अदर चाइल्ड सेज लिटरेरी क्या बोलते हैं उसको, लिबर्टी. सो द लायन नाउ मेक्स अ स्टैंडिंग वो declaration. He says from now on I'm going to become a vegetarian, all of you have helped me so much because I get more energy from the plants. तो फिर एक वॉइस निकलती है, वो इकोसिस्टम का क्या होगा. So that was really, really very cute. So again, I think it depends a lot on the activities that we design. Let the children think on their own, and they do amazing work. Let's not underestimate our children कि नहीं हमारे बिना वो नहीं पढ़ पाएंगे. Yes, so that was one activity that I wanted to take up. Lion and the Rabbit. So scientific skills, writing skills, mathematical skills, life skills, visual performing arts, they were all integrated. Stories have that power to make those cross connections, provided a teacher knows how to use that story. So friends, here is the circle that Shanti ma'am had shown you on the first day. I know it's a little complex, but you can zoom it on your screen. Inside is the learning experiences that we provide to the children. If the only learning experiences we provide is knowledge based, then they'll only be knowledge based, content heavy, right? And the second circle here is talking about the different disciplines that we have in our schools and how can we integrate them. So when we talk about peace, we talk about our constitution, we talk about respect for diversity, maths, equity, organic living, design thinking, literacy, languages, holistic health, values and ethics, digital literacy, art education, seva. All this CBSE has been, acquainting us with from years to come, and a lot of new things have been added. So if we know what they are, we don't need to include everything again, but whatever best can be done, and when the teachers are empowered and they'll have to do it. And the activities that we give them, the yellow circle. So whether they are researching, inquiring, creating stories, analyzing, doing a new choreography, designing a poster, mathematical activity with artwork and interpreting the different formulae out of it, peer editing, designing a rubric, designing a quiz, making a documentary, making sculptures together with integration of different subjects. So all the activities that we give them in cognitive, affective, psychomotor domains, if they are experiential in nature, it means after the experience they reflect upon it, they conceptualize it, and then they experiment to make it better next time. You will get the learner profile that you're looking for. The last circle. So you can zoom it a little, take 1 or 2, maybe 30 seconds to zoom in, zoom out, and have a look at it. And an important component of learning curve or the growth on the developmental continuum is the feedback and feed forward that we give. What kind of feedback that we give and what kind of feed forward do we give will raise a child's self-esteem or absolutely break the child's self-esteem. Whether it's primary or senior school, it applies to both. So it's very important that we give the right kind of feedback and feed forward to the children. And the resources, the last segment here is the resources. Second last segment, the resources that we have for planning and execution are the ones that you have also been attending in the Prayog session. So I'm only going to run through this. Those of you who have gone through the Prayog session would be aware. Those who have yet to go through Prayog, it will be a refresher for you. So your NCF foundational stage, beautiful. Your standard in SQAA, which talks about the early childhood education, you will get everything in this foundational stage curriculum. Beautiful. It's a lovely document with curricular goals. You can use it for your report cards. You can use it as a template for anecdotal records. What kind of checklists to have in the anecdotal, कैसे हम observe करें, कैसे लिखें. Beautiful. It's a lovely document. Your national curriculum framework, the learner outcomes that are there for each subject, the big picture behind each subject, all these will form a part of your bigger picture. So please आप time निकाल के इसको ज़रूर पढ़ लीजिए because that gives you an understanding of that bigger picture, the spirit behind it, what we are talking about. So it talks about the school, the logic, the approach to standards. By these learning standards, we are talking about pedagogy, content, assessment across stages. It talks about cross cutting values, inclusion, ICT. ये हर जगह relevant है. आपका school culture, school processes. How do you enable and empower teachers? What is the role of academic and administrative functionaries? So, as a tool to give you an idea, to give you a bigger picture, I think it's an amazing document that all of you should look at. And it again focuses on the same slide that we are continuously repeating for you. Knowledge, skills, attitudes. Knowledge आएगा learner outcomes से, skills आएंगे the kind of questions you ask, the kind of strategies you use, the kind of approaches that you use, the kind of designing of projects that you have, the kind of reflective questions that you ask is going to build that competency. So we have the Handbook for Principals by CBSE, the Pedagogical Handbook for Leading, the NEP focus on socioeconomically disadvantaged groups. So CBSE wants you to be, not CBSE, I would say, we ourselves should be convinced that we need to be inclusive about it. But CBSE is helping you out by taking out a handbook of inclusive education, plus a lot of capacity building programs on each one of them, offline programs on each one of them, art integration towards experiential learning, storytelling as a concept, handbook of joyful learning experience. You'll get lots of ideas from here. In case you haven't started yet, you'll get enough ideas. Mathematical, comic books, question books, cogitos, teacher resources, how to achieve LOs. 45 manuals and handbooks in the last 3 years. I don't know how many of them we've seen. So do see whether you've seen all of them, go through all of them, and I'm sure you'll become a strong pedagogical leader. Sports integration, there are manuals on how to integrate health, wellness, seva, skill building in the children, eco clubs, the eco clubs, water conservation, life skills, 21st century skills, mental health and well-being, recently the one that NCRT had for 5 days. So many books are available, activities are available, ready-made to begin with. And then you can build your own if you're more comfortable. Skill building, CBSE is talking about skill building. So you have about almost 33 skills in grade 6 to 8. You can use them in your clubs, in your skill education periods. You can also use it in your subjects. Any of these activities, you can even integrate it with your subjects. 9 to 10th, you have about 22 of them. 11th and 12th, you have 43 of them. handbook on assessment and evaluation, you'll get a clear picture of what is the difference between assessment and evaluation. SAFAL, the end of the day, the national testing body by CBSE, which tells you where your school is and helps you to improve and diagnose an n number of capacity building programs. You only have to ask for them. So the CBSE is trying to build up a competency based ecosystem by giving you content through handbooks, by giving you different pedagogical strategies in those handbooks, assessments understanding, capacity building, Diksha portal, Nishtha portal. You have enough material to build up that capacity building. So, are you a pedagogical leader is something that you will have to decide by looking at all the competency based arts, stories, sports, inclusive, environmental, assessment that is competency based, HPC, SAFAL, peer education, skill education, eventually all of them leading to the SQAA framework. You will find reflections of all of these in the SQAA standards. So, friends, if we are doing all of this, and yes, not today it's going to happen, at least are we ready and prepared to do a gap analysis and see where we are is something that we might like to look at. So, why have we spent almost 1.5 hours before coming to what SQAA is? Because the standard is only making you think. The standard is making you think of those connections of ACPP, of mind maps, of inclusivity, of integrated approaches of art, music, dance, strategies, de bono, experiential learning, collaborative, reflective learning. The whole standard is all about that. So you will only be able to interpret the standard if you are aware of what we are talking about. So do go through because this may not be visible on the screen, but if you have your framework with you, you can have a quick look at it, but do go back and read it again. And I'll pick up 3 to 4 performance indicators from here and see how are we interpreting it. So at level 1, if you've done this, made use of textbooks, implemented teacher learning material, low cost tools, attended CBPs as mandated, you've crossed level 1. So do go to level 2, 3 and 4 and see what it says. So I'll pick up 2 to 3 indicators from here only. One of the indicator is teachers make use of innovative, age-appropriate, experiential pedagogical approaches to create joyful learning environment. So you will have to ask yourself, is the lesson plan or ACPP innovative? Is it age-appropriate? Am I going overboard or underboard? कहाँ दिखेगा आपको? ACPP में दिखेगा, माइंड मैप में दिखेगा, लेसन प्लान में दिखेगा, तो आपका डॉक्यूमेंट रेडी है. Right, when you were saying how do we review a document, if all of this is there, you have your document ready. You don't have to create one. आपको कैसे पता कि टीचर्स यूज कर रहे हैं? क्योंकि आपने क्लास को ऑब्जर्व किया, आपने नोटबुक्स को ऑब्जर्व किया, आपने क्लास के कॉरिडोर्स को क्लासरूम को ऑब्जर्व किया, बच्चों का काम लगा हुआ है वहाँ पे, आपने उसको ऑब्जर्व किया, आपने गैप्स देखे, आपने जब टीचर के साथ बात करी आपको गैप्स दिखे, वो आपने कहीं पे नोट करा हुआ है इन अ फॉर्मेट. फिर आपने उनके लिए सपोर्टिंग CP योर कैपेसिटी बिल्डिंग प्रोग्राम्स करे. सो यू हैव अ रिकॉर्ड, यू डोंट हैव टू क्रिएट वन. सो सेलिब्रेट योर स्ट्रेंथ्स कि आप जो अच्छा कर रहे हैं उसको ज़रूर सेलिब्रेट करिए, और जहाँ पे गैप है उसको देखिए आप कैसे उसको फिल कर सकते हैं. सो ये बेसिकली चिल्ड्रन शुड हैव फन and learn through that fun. It's not that just कि मैंने वो एक्टिविटी करी और फन ख़त्म हो गया, बट एक्टिविटी के साथ साथ 3 अदर स्टेजेस हैं. इफ़ आई डू ऑल 4 stages, I'll be able to internalize experiential learning का. And if I do it in a joyful way, where teachers are emotionally also connected to me, EQ भी देख रहे हैं और IQ भी देख रहे हैं, I think सोने पे सुहागा. Another indicator, there are regular classroom observations and feed forwards. आपने yes तो लिख दिया, टिक मार्क भी कर दिया, राइट. अब आपको क्वेश्चन क्या पूछने हैं अपने आप को कि मेरा स्केड्यूल है क्या क्लासरूम ऑब्जर्वेशंस का, मेरे 50 टीचर्स हैं, तो वो कौन से क्लासेस के कौन से सब्जेक्ट्स की क्लासरूम ऑब्जर्वेशंस मेरे पास आ रही हैं और मैं कितने कर रही हूँ या कर रहा हूँ, मैं कितनी बार एज अ स्कूल लीडर ऑब्जर्व कर रहा हूँ, कितनी बार कोऑर्डिनेटर्स कर रहे हैं, कितनी बार एचओडीज कर रहे हैं. हैव अ लुक एट इट. और उसके पहले और पोस्ट डिस्कशन, स्पेशली जब आप हैंड होल्डिंग कर रहे हो और उनकी कैपेसिटी बना रहे हो टीचर्स की, तो प्री एंड पोस्ट डिस्कशंस आर इक्वली इम्पॉर्टेंट. और हम अगर टीचर्स आर वी असेसिंग, हम बच्चों के लिए कहते हैं कि असेस देम फॉर व्हाट दे नो एंड कैन डू, तो टीचर्स के लिए भी यही लागू होता है. असेस देम फॉर व्हाट दे नो एंड कैन डू. अब एक बार एक टीचर्स को वो ग्रुप एक्टिविटी करो, कोलैबोरेटिव करो, कोलैबोरेटिव करो, वो टीचर कहती है मुझे क्लासरूम मैनेजमेंट ही नहीं समझ में आ रहा कि मैं कैसे करूं, आई एम नॉट एबल टू हैंडल ग्रुप्स. So maybe the teachers need to be first trained, handheld, mentored, तभी तो वो कर पाएंगे. So have faith in them. Have faith, have patience and work with them. Do we have the observation? आजकल हम उसको observation नहीं बोलते हैं, positive terminology, classroom participation. So you are participating with the teacher to improve the classroom participation. आप किस तरीके का फीडबैक फीड फॉरवर्ड दे रहे हो? अरे आपकी क्लास तो आज बहुत बेकार थी, वैसा फीडबैक दे रहे हैं हम उनको, या हम कह रहे हैं कि आपने ये 3 चीज़ें बहुत अच्छी करी, ये 2 चीज़ें कैन वी वर्क ऑन दिस, डू यू नीड एनी हेल्प हियर, कैन वी वर्क ऑन दिस टुगेदर. और इसका इम्पैक्ट बच्चों के ऊपर क्या हो रहा है, जो हम जो रेगुलरली ऑब्जर्वेशंस कर रहे हैं, उससे क्या टीचर ग्रो कर रहा है? इज देयर अ डिफरेंस इन द वे दैट द टीचर इज टीचिंग नाउ? तो हमारे को जब हम इंडिकेटर पढ़ते हैं, डू लुक एट दी कि टिप ऑफ द आइसबर्ग के नीचे क्या चल रहा है, what are the questions that we need to ask. Similarly, if we have this one, each teacher receives mentorship on making teaching learning effective, experiential and joyful. आपने yes कर दिया, टिक मार्क कर दिया, लेकिन जब टीचर ने आपको ज्वाइन किया तो इंडक्शन प्रोग्राम हुए, टीचर्स के साथ बडी बने. आई एम श्योर मेनी ऑफ यू आर डूइंग इट, सो आई एम जस्ट अगेन रिफ्रेशिंग इट. क्या हमारा हर टीचर के साथ 1-on-1 होता है और कितनी बार होता है? क्या स्मॉलर डिपार्टमेंटल ग्रुप्स के साथ हमारे सेशंस होते हैं, कितनी बार होते हैं? क्या एक प्राइमरी विंग, मिडिल विंग, सीनियर विंग के साथ डिस्कशंस होते हैं, कितनी बार होते हैं? क्या हमारा केस बेस्ड, अब एक्सपीरियंशियल में हमें गैप लग रहा है, चलो एक केस बेस्ड स्टडी से माइक्रो टीचिंग करके इसको इम्प्रूव करते हैं. क्वालिटी सर्कल, फॉर्मेटिव असेसमेंट नहीं समझ में आ रहा, लेट्स प्लान टू हैव क्वालिटी सर्कल्स हु वर्क ऑन दैट एंड मेक प्रेजेंटेशंस. फ्लैश मेंटरिंग, एसओएस, अगर किसी को इमीडिएटली कोई ज़रूरत पड़ जाती है, एम आई अवेलेबल, कि इसको कैसे करना है. सो एज स्कूल प्रिंसिपल्स यू माइट बी थिंकिंग कि हमारे पास इतना टाइम कहाँ है. So friends, I think this 1 year you will have to keep it for this. Maybe I don't know. I'm leaving it to you to decide. Maybe cut down on activities, things like that. जितना हम मेहनत एक्टिविटीज़ में करते हैं, अगर उतनी ही मेहनत हम क्लासरूम वो जो हम कहते हैं ना ये 40 मिनट्स अगर हम उसमें करने लग जाएं, तो आई थिंक इट्स गोइंग टू बी अमेजिंग. और एक लास्ट वन जो कल दीपा मैम भी लेंगी इसको, कि हमने लिख तो दिया कि फॉर्मेटिव असेसमेंट्स आर इंटीग्रेटेड, हमने कर दिया टिक मार्क, लेकिन हमारी पॉलिसी क्या कहती है? हमारी उसमें इंक्लूसिविटी की बात है, फॉर लर्निंग की बात है, एज लर्निंग की बात है, हमारे लेसन प्लान्स में क्या वो इंटीग्रेटेड है? जब आपने क्लासरूम ऑब्जर्वेशन करा तो उसमें लिखा दैट हाउ डिड यू चेक फॉर अंडरस्टैंडिंग, कि बच्चे समझ रहे हैं कि नहीं समझ रहे हैं? हर बच्चे का इंडिविजुअल एजुकेशन प्लान है. अगर हर बच्चे का नहीं हो पा रहा है अभी, तो चलो टेक अप द मोस्ट क्रिटिकल वंस इनिशियली एंड सी हाउ यू डू इट. क्या आपके पास स्टूडेंट ट्रैकर अपडेटेड है, स्टूडेंट पोर्टफोलियो है? बच्चे का प्रोग्रेस आप कैसे मॉनिटर करेंगे? नॉट जस्ट बाय मार्क्स, बाय अदर वेज. हाउ विल यू मॉनिटर टीचर्स प्रोग्रेस? हाउ डू यू नो दैट टीचर्स आर एड्रेसिंग इंक्लूजन एंड डाइवर्सिटी इन द क्लासरूम? These are very important questions to be addressed as a pedagogical leader. So friends, teachers are empowered, I'm repeating the standard again, are empowered to adopt very teaching learning approaches which reflect their understanding of the needs of the learners and a conducive environment. तो हम कहाँ हैं? क्या हम यहाँ हैं, या हम यहाँ हैं, या हम यहाँ हैं, या okay, great, we are going to go, we are going to work hard. We are going to identify the gaps. We'll celebrate what we are doing. और अगर हम कर रहे हैं, हम ऑलरेडी कर रहे हैं, बहुत आगे बढ़ चुके हैं, हम दूसरे स्कूल्स को हेल्प करेंगे, सहोदया में हेल्प करेंगे, हब्स ऑफ लर्निंग में हेल्प करेंगे, टीम लर्निंग्स में हेल्प करेंगे. सो यू कैन राइट इट इफ़ यू वांट इन द चैट बॉक्स इन योर यूट्यूब कि आप ए पे हो, बी पे हो, सी पे हो या डी पे हो, एंड इट्स ओके विच एवर लेवल यू आर ऑन. सो आर यू कंफ्यूज्ड और आर यू ओके? बहुत ज़्यादा फिर काम बढ़ गया, और यू आर लुकिंग एट येस आई थिंक समथिंग कैन बी डन, और येस, एंड इट्स ऑल राइट इफ यू चूज एनी वन ऑफ देम. सो आप चैट बॉक्स में लिख सकते हैं ए, बी, सी और डी. And since we are such a diverse group, you'll see all diverse ABCDs. I'm very sure of that. We are from all parts of the country. So मेरा एनालिसिस क्या कह रहा है? मेरा एनालिसिस कह रहा है कि मैं लेट्स से डोमेन 1 में जो पेडागॉजी का स्टैंडर्ड है 1.2.3 वही क्रिटिकल, उसमें मुझे लग रहा है कि मैं स्ट्रैटेजीज, अप्रोचेस, इंक्लूसिविटी, फॉर्मेटिव असेसमेंट्स बहुत कुछ नहीं कर रही हूँ. चलो लेट मी मूव टू लेवल 2. उसके लिए मुझे क्या क्या करना पड़ेगा? कैपेसिटी बिल्डिंग करानी पड़ेगी, क्योंकि माय टीचर्स डोंट अंडरस्टैंड अलाइनमेंट ऑफ ऑब्जेक्टिव, आउटकम एंड वो द टास्क्स दैट आर अलाइनमेंट. दे डोंट नो एक्टिविटीज, स्ट्रैटेजीज, अप्रोचेस टू केटर टू ऑल लर्नर्स. प्रायोरिटी मेरी हाई है, एंड आई एम गोइंग टू डू अ गैप एनालिसिस, प्लान फॉर इम्प्रूवमेंट, प्रिपेयर फॉर ऑनगोइंग CBP. कब करूँगी, कैसे करूँगी, कहाँ करूँगी, कैसे वो होगा, ऑल दैट विल कम अंडर 5W1H. और ये कैसे निकल के आया आपका? जब आपने 6 to 8 के टीचर्स डायरीज रिव्यू करी, ACPP रिव्यू करा, क्लासरूम के अंदर बैठे, नोटबुक्स देखी बच्चों की, असेसमेंट के पेपर्स देखे, आपने ये 5-6 डॉक्यूमेंट्स देखे, तो आपको लगा कि एक गैप दिख रहा है मुझे. तो जो पूछ रहे थे कि डॉक्यूमेंट्स, यही तो डॉक्यूमेंट्स हैं. अगर आप प्रोसेस कर रहे हैं तो आपके डॉक्यूमेंट्स रेडी हैं, एंड यू गॉट अ टाइमलाइन, एंड हु आर द पीपल हु आर गोइंग टू टेक केयर ऑफ इट, कोऑर्डिनेटर्स विद सब्जेक्ट हेड्स. यू कैन ऐड अ काउंसलर टू दिस ऑल्सो, और यू वांट समवन एल्स, यू कैन ऐड समवन एल्स ऑल्सो, एंड देन 2 महीने के बाद उसका रिव्यू भी होगा. सो देन इम्प्रूवमेंट प्लान टेम्पलेट इज फॉर यू. CBSE कहता है कि अपलोड कर दो, बिकॉज इट वॉन्ट्स यू टू थिंक अबाउट इट, इट वॉन्ट्स यू टू थिंक ऑब्जेक्टिवली अबाउट योर ओन स्कूल एंड अपलोड इट. जब ज़रूरत आएगी तब, अभी नहीं, नॉट नाउ. सो यू कैन यूज़ योर 5W and 1H कि हमने इम्प्रूवमेंट करनी है डायरी में, कैसे करेंगे टू अचीव द लर्नर आउटकम करना है हमारे को, कि ऐसे बिल्ड करना है हमारे को, हम इतने टाइम में करेंगे, कब करेंगे, कहाँ करेंगे, कौन करेगा और कैसे करेंगे. कोर टीम बनाएंगे, NCF पढ़ेंगे, FLN पढ़ेंगे, करिकुलम रिक्वायरमेंट्स पढ़ेंगे जो कल रीटा मैम ने कराया था, गैप एनालिसिस करेंगे लेसन प्लान का, फिर हम किक ऑफ करेंगे क्वालिटी कॉन्शियस मूवमेंट. 10 साल डेडिकेटेड टू ये 40 मिनट. आइडेंटिफाई गैप एरियाज, पेन पॉइंट्स भी देखो कि क्या पेन पॉइंट चैलेंजेस विल डेफिनेटली हैपन. प्रिपेयर एन एक्शन प्लान विद रोल्स रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज. अगर आप 10 चीज़ें सोच रहे हो, 10 मत करो. 5 कर लो, 4 कर लो, 3 कर लो. लेट्स स्टार्ट एट लीस्ट. माइक्रो टीचिंग स्टेशंस करो, वर्कशॉप टू वर्क प्लेसेस करो, सहोदया से सीखो, हब्स ऑफ लर्निंग में सीखो, गेट होल्ड ऑफ बडी स्कूल्स फॉर योर सेल्फ इफ यू वॉन्ट. कीप टेस्टिंग द प्रोटोटाइप्स दैट यू आर क्रिएटिंग एंड कीप evaluating them. और वो साइकिल चलती रहेगी. सो चैलेंजेस भी आएंगे कि हाउ डू वी, टीचर्स का चैलेंज आएगा, प्रिंसिपल्स के अपने चैलेंजेस आ सकते हैं, बच्चों के चैलेंजेस आ सकते हैं, पेरेंट्स के चैलेंजेस आ सकते हैं. बट देन इफ़ रिमेंबर व्हाट वी सेड इन सिस्टम्स थिंकिंग माइंडसेट, कि अगर हमें लगता है कि ये बच्चों के लिए फ़ायदा है, वी विल डू समथिंग अबाउट इट. अगर हमें लग रहा है कि नहीं ज़रूरत है, तो वी विल बी इन द न्यूटन्स लॉ ऑफ इनर्शिया, विल कंटिन्यू टू डू व्हाट वी आर डूइंग. राइट, बट इवेंचुअली वो टाइम भी आएगा दैट वी माइट बिकम, एज आई एम वेरी फॉन्ड ऑफ सेइंग, डोडोज एंड डायनासोर्स. So look beyond the tip of the iceberg, find out the actual reasons why it's not happening, and let's look at the, because it's eventually the staff who's going to be your team and support. So we need to build up our staff in terms of their mental health and well-being. So when we talk about children's cognitive, affective, and intellectual well-being, it's also the teachers' cognitive, affective, and psychomotor well-being. So in human resources segment, we would be talking about that. What are the strategies that we are using to empower our teachers? What are the strategies that we use for motivating them? What are the strategies that we use कि वो टीचर फ्रीली आपके पास आके कह सकता है मेरे से नहीं हो रहा, मुझे हेल्प चाहिए. So we'd be doing that when we take up the human resources. But yes, without them doing this entire exercise, it's going to be a difficult task. As you can see that आपका everything is interrelated. Human resources strong hai, so they understand inclusive practices, they understand curriculum pedagogy, they know how to use the open spaces, learning spaces, they know how to be smart, effective organizers of a classroom. So they are classroom readers. They are managing their ACPP and their lesson plan and their assessments and their worksheets and the technology and the PTMs and the functions and events. So they are smart organizers. Yes. And of course, if all this is happening, your leadership is going up and up, and everybody is happy if everything is going in the way that it should be going, with people's physical, mental, socio emotional well being well in place, including the principals. Huh? Yes. So that's the spirit of SQAA, encouraging reflections, innovations, accountability, and collaborations. So yes, we are at 4:41. We have about 10-12 minutes for any question answers. Rita ma'am, I hope I stuck to my time, or did I go overboard?
Absolutely. No, you have really done a wonderful job. And before I actually put up any questions, I want you to have a glass of water because I know that is required. While you do that, I will just read out the positive things that I've written. Not really, I'll not take because there are too
Rita,
many compliments over there.
Rita ma'am, Rita ma'am,
हाँ,
एक
हाँ,
comment आया था कि resource persons should take a pause.
हाँ, बिल्कुल जो हम नहीं कर पाए कोशिश करेंगे दीपा मैम अगले वाले में करें. So there are few things. There is one thing for CBSE to take note of. They want principal's handbook in Hindi. I do not know if it's existing. If it is existing, the link can be shared here. Otherwise, उस पे हम काम करने के बारे में सोच सकते हैं. फिर एक बहुत क्यूट सा मैसेज है, बहुत हार्ट वार्मिंग मैसेज है आई शुड से, रीटा सिरोही मैम का, हु सेज व्हाट टू टॉक टू माय टीचर्स अबाउट नाउ आई नो. सो बेसिकली अच्छी बात है अगर कल्पना मैम इफ यू एबल टू गिव देम इनफ material to kind of take it forward. I think that was the objective of this webinar. और एक बहुत ही स्वीट सा है, आयशा writes, story में twist अच्छा है. So while you were talking about the storytelling session, probably that's when she mentioned it. And if you're ready to answer now, there's a question on little explanation on feed forward. Feedback, they understand that feed forward, if you could explain.
Okay. So feedback, अगर मैं बोलूँ तो it is like postmortem. It's like you're doing कि ये अच्छा हुआ, ये नहीं हुआ, ये नहीं हुआ, ये नहीं हुआ. Feed forward is अब आगे क्या करना है. So it's a very positive kind of a word, and we should start definitely using it. So it's called as a sandwich feedback, feed forward and feedback and feed forward. So आपने बोला कि ये 2-3 चीज़ें अच्छी थी, ये 2 चीज़ों में आप इम्प्रूव कर सकते हैं, और ये वाली चीज़ें आप करोगे तो और आगे बढ़ोगे. So feedback and feed forward is that you are not only saying everything is nice. एक बच्चे ने अगर ड्राइंग बनाया आपने वेरी गुड वेरी गुड, अब वेरी गुड मतलब क्या, कलर अच्छा है, फॉर्म अच्छा है, मीडियम अच्छा यूज़ किया है. सो यू हैव टू बी स्पेसिफिक that the bird is very beautiful, but you've used maybe one color. Is there any reason why you used one color? Yeah, I like only one single color. Okay, try out if you want to use more colors and see if you like that bird with more colors. So you're using that feedback and feed forward to understand the child's psychology and to understand how the child thinks, क्योंकि the whole thing that we are talking about is how do students learn, and it's important to have that KYC, not know your customer but know your child. वो एक बहुत important aspect है. So I hope that answers that question.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, what you mean is that any input that helps a person to better in the future. I mean, forward-looking, forward-looking. I am picking a few more questions. Meanwhile, I'll request Shanti ma'am and Deepa ma'am also to keep them ready in case they are, if I miss out few. Then there's a question on think sheets. I don't know whether you mentioned it or is it a question from otherwise think sheets.
So some schools, instead of writing worksheets, have changed their terminology to think sheets. That means that the teachers consciously they try and make children think in a different way, divergent thinking, lateral thinking, and the attitude building. When there's another thinking called as spiritual thinking, inspirational thinking. So, think sheets, the moment we start changing terminologies, what I've realized over a period of years is that your mind starts shifting to that direction. For example, if teachers go, we change them into facilitators. There is a mind shift change. If we start changing the number of periods, we've been hearing about number of periods, I think, since ages and ages. Can we start calling it learning experience 1, learning experience 2, learning experience 3? So it's just a terminology change. If you want it, it's not mandated by CBSE, but people are using different innovative ways to shift mindsets. That's just it. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Kalpana ma'am. And Shraburi, I see your comment on wanting to know about assessment as learning. I think Deepa ma'am is going to take it big time tomorrow. So I will, I think, move to the next question, which is on if there can be any examples to showcase language building in senior classes. How can a language class be in a senior classes? Vishwas Sharma asked for it.
Yeah, so this would be a very specific subject-based sessions. So I think CBSE also organizes a lot of subject-based specific capacity building programs. That would help if you are able to ask for those sessions. That will really help. Because when we are talking about languages, I always have this feeling that we talk about LSRW, or we talk about section A, B, C, D, but our maximum time in our classrooms goes in teaching literature, and that too the question answers and the vocabulary. So somewhere I think as teachers we also need to take a call that how much of time are we spending on each of the sections. So
Jashveer has also written, I mean, I think he's already attended your session on storytelling. He says how story could be integrated with other subjects. I think you've given a lot of examples over there. I will take the question that was on language and also take this Jashveer's question. And if I can give one example, there is a chapter on in English book of class 10, Ultimate Safari. I witnessed one teacher taking up Ultimate Safari. It's a story of, I think it's around Mozambique civil war. And it's about mothers fight to safeguard their children in that situation. So I saw one of the teachers build upon it and connecting with the history and the entire Kruger National Parks geographical map was put up, blown up and put up in the class. I saw that lady correlating complex history of conservation and disposition of indicating it with the story that was there, and then bringing in the emotional, the interpersonal, the emotional segment that we keep, social emotional skills that we keep talking about. She correlated with that. And then she also talked about English naturalist, which was William Burchell. He's a famous guy in the South Africa who actually tried to bring in that Kruger Park background, these particular Civil War related anecdotes. And there was a whole lot of, I saw very beautiful interdisciplinary kind of lesson plan which was readied. And basically the lesson was to how to build up language skills. And
yeah.
so there are so many examples that we can probably quote here.
Right.
Any questions, Shanti ma'am, which I missed?
Yeah. Can I share some questions, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. Please, and you can answer them also.
Afra Khurana wants to know how can we use rubrics in teaching and assessment?
Yeah. So rubric, I had shared one rubric with you all where if if the group is doing show and tell. So you're using a rubric to assess whether the children have presented it, what was the content, what was the presentation, and your descriptors are very clear. So it's also called as success criteria. So if you're asking the children to read, if you're asking the children to do a debate, if you're asking the children to design a quiz, and you have a very simple, short, crisp rubric for it, which so that you're assessing the children for learning. But if you're also doing a bigger project, a performance task, performance based task, there also you have to have your categories of knowledge, whichever way, which are the skills that you wish or knowledge that you wish to give more weightage to. So you have to create a kind of a blueprint and then design a rubric accordingly. So, as I said, rubric designing is a little complex to be taken up virtually right now. But I think maybe Deepa ma'am might take it up tomorrow if there is time enough. We'll talk to Deepa ma'am and see if it can be taken up. Yeah.
And there's another question from Mrs. Tina. She's asking, is outcome, learning outcome, is present or future tense? I think she means to know, how do we know? As we are doing, we may not know the outcome. Learning outcome is always in the future, we can find out. That's what she's little confused.
And that is why when I shared the example of environment and I made that picture pictorial and we said, what is the visible outcome? So the teacher has planned that I am going to do this. But if the children did not make a concept map or the children didn't design the rubric, the outcome is not met. Or the objective with which the teacher had planned, so that the outcome is not there. So the outcome is at the end, right? And it should be visible. That's why they say making learning visible. If it's visible, the outcome, you can see it.
I think it's both ways also, ma'am. Certain things can be visibly seen, and certain things you got to wait and see what the outcome is, whether it's making an impact on the child. Measuring can happen maybe over a period of time, like values, ethics, and all of that. We measure it.
They're not even measurable at times.
Yeah, but you can see how he's making an impact on the child.
And that's why the anecdotal records, the portfolios are all observation based.
Correct.
So you're observing the children and you're recording the incident. And then later on, when you talk to the other group of teachers and then, kind of understand where the child is in their behavior, in their actions, or what are the patterns that are visible. Yeah.
And there's one question, I missed the name. She's asking, not clear about the black and the green hat.
Okay, so you are a 21st century learner. Now Google search, Chat GPT. Find out.
Right. Okay.
It's all there. De Bono's 6 thinking hats.
Yeah, there is one request from Mrs. Vandana, whether we can show one lesson plan for preschool.
For preschool. Okay.
Probably.
So I think you should get those examples from the foundational NCF foundational stage also of the NCF. And plus we have to look at that what is the content or the curriculum that you're following. Because if you're following English and the maths, it won't work. But if you look at the NCF foundational stage, it talks about cognitive, it talks about socio-emotional, it talks about aesthetics, it talks about physical domain. And based on that, they've given lots of activities. I think that will really help you if you go through that. It's there on the net.
I think, ma'am, what you shared the storytelling. Even from there, they could have some verbal kind of maybe children may not be able to write as much, but then they can modify it to suiting the age group of children, and we can look it up.
But there are lots of strategies given in the activities given in the framework. Okay. NCF 2023 foundational stage. Yeah.
If I may give an example here.
Mr. Jose wants to know whether we can share a ideal classroom observation format. Whether it can be shared.
So what my suggestion would be that have a look at the Pindix format by NCERT. It's there on the net and it's very beautifully made. You can always revise, modify, edit as per your needs, but it gives you the basic skeletal structure. So as I said, enough resources are there, but we need to dig out and we need to sift and sort and we need to see which one suits our school the best. So the Pindix one by NCERT is very simple and very nice.
Somebody is asking how to download NCF 2023 framework. I think they got to go to this CBSE site and do it, ma'am. It's available there.
For which
It's
one?
it is
NCF.
at multiple places, ma'am. They simply have to put a search NCF 2022, NCF 23 and PDF, and it will show up whether it take you to HRD ministry or takes you to NCRT. It is available at multiple places.
Yeah.
And I think for a CBSE team here, there are a lot of people who are immediately trying the sites which were mentioned, the CBSE academic resources ma'am has shared, right? The team, as CBSE team has shared.
Yeah.
They are saying many of them are showing error 404 and all of that. Probably it could be refreshed after you are sharing. A lot of people want to try it. Probably CBSE could look at it and see that it is made available. That is one thing. Otherwise, very well presented, ma'am. Congratulations.
Maybe they were opening up from the link that was posted, or actually on the site they can't access. We'll have to check. Yeah.
We don't know. That they mentioned that it's showing error 404. And
Samiksha ma'am, if you can note that down and have it checked.
One last interesting question from Anju Dubey ma'am. She says, do we have to drop all our traditional method of teaching now?
Not really. No, not necessarily.
Yeah.
So see, when we are, very interestingly, there was a school where there was only questioning happening, no strategies. But even the questioning was of all kinds of higher order. Fertile questions, non-routine questions. So even questioning can be different, which is very traditional. Questioning is also a traditional method. But if that questioning is also non-routine and it is taking children to higher order thinking, making them think, evaluate, justify, even that works. That's also equally important. We shouldn't be giving up as such, because what will happen is that we may try out new things and the beautiful features of the old one may get lost. So it's important to have a balance before you branch out to something totally new. Try it out. If there is one chapter, try out 2 strategies. If the teachers are comfortable, they can try out 3. Why do teachers not try out? I was looking at my own example. So I wanted to do, like Rita ma'am, Shanti ma'am are very good at technology, together with Deepa ma'am, Manju ma'am, they're all good at it. But if somebody tells me that in virtual sessions use a Padlet and use a poll survey and use a Mentimeter, I hold myself back that I may get stuck up in technology and not be able to take the session forward. Right. So there are challenges that people have in taking something forward. What are those challenges you might like to understand? So for me, the challenge is to do it quickly. I may be able to do it, but not very fast. And I don't want to spend or waste your time too. So do empathize with me, Rita ma'am and
Vandana ma'am wants to know what is our suggestion for lesson plan. Should it be daily, weekly, or monthly?
Ma'am, you take, that is a call that you have to take.
As a team, yeah.
You have to see where you are. If your teachers are already making, let's say, a weekly lesson plan, you could go into daily. I remember trying out a daily lesson plan in 1999. And it was a tough job. Yes, but it works. Because then the teachers are very clear ki karna kya hai humne. It was not easy. It's not easy at all, because you have to plan for every period, because your objectives change, your outcomes change for every period. So that's why it's important. Or sometimes you can make it into a topic wise, that I'm going to spend 6 days on it, but your objectives are written day wise. Your homework will be written day wise. Your tasks would be day wise. So anyway, then let's end up writing day wise then. But then if there are 2-3 teachers teaching the same class, I mean, if Rita ma'am is teaching grade 5 English, Shanti ma'am 6, and I'm teaching 4, so we can each make one after consultation and we can exchange. That saves time for the teachers also. So we'll have to look at that mix and match of how do we save our teachers' time, as well as make sure that we are getting the quality that we want.
Thank you, ma'am. Wonderful, inspiring session. That's what many people say. On behalf of all of them, I'm sharing that with you.
Thank you. Yeah. Anything else, Deepa ma'am, if you were able to?
Thank you, ma'am. I see the appreciation, happiness of beginning the SQAA?
So let's say beginning of the process. Yeah. But thank you so much, Shanti ma'am, Rita ma'am, Deepa ma'am, Manju ma'am, for being there. And the CBSE team, Abhishek, Samiksha, Dr. Pragya. Thank you so much, everyone, and to all the participants who've been so patient. I know the time is a constraint. In the feedback, it has come in that the timing, if it could be, timing is an issue. But then again, the diverse country, some people want in the morning, some in the afternoon, some in the evening. So it's very difficult to kind of reach a census. So the best part is that it's available on the YouTube. And as Rita ma'am said earlier, that as and when you're free, you can view it as per your leisure.
Sure, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. I hope all participants have found this webinar informative and inspiring. I would like to thank Dr. Shweta Singh, Joint Secretary CBSE, for setting the tone for this webinar. Further, I would like to thank Kalpana ma'am, Rita ma'am for making enthusiastic explanations and making us learn various aspects of pedagogy domain. Without miss, I would also like to thank Shanti ma'am, Manju ma'am, and Deepa ma'am for their background support in making this webinar's content enriching. I also like to extend my thanks to all the participants for their participation in the webinar and making this webinar successful. With this, we come to end of this today's webinar. Good evening and thank you very much once again. Thank you. Thank you all.
You can also mention about tomorrow's session. Tomorrow we have the next session.
So tomorrow is another very important session and a wonderful session from Deepa ma'am. So don't forget, see you tomorrow, same time at the channel CBSE. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Namaskar.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.